Civilization Devours. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 276, The Goddess of Order reappears. Li Xingming was disappointed. Zhang Xingtang's reaction was indifferent. Well, it just so happens that I am also preparing to go to the Starry Sky battlefield. Let's go together, Zhang Xingtang said. With his current strength, he does not have the ability to avenge Wen Cheng for the time being. It is better to go to the battlefield to gain some experience. Sometimes the battle between life and death can promote people's progress, and the military power gained in the battle can be exchanged for a lot of good things. Li Xingming was stunned. You still want to go to the battlefield? But your body. I have recovered, and I was promoted to the realm of saints not long ago. Li Xingming. Time passed, Xinghua Academy opened, and it was time for a new batch of freshmen to enter the school. Chen Mou has been upgraded to a senior. As the former overlords gave way, the Xiox Xinghua ranking was once again surging. The Xinghua ranking was also fiercely competitive. Lin Sichen showed his strength and won the first place. Huangfuze and Du Qi ranked second and third respectively. No one can shake the top three positions for the time being, but the competition for the following seats is more intense. However, all this has nothing to do with Chen Mou. He did not return to school and remained in the experimental base, busy with the research and development of the Haiyan Jue. It must be said that this thing is indeed a challenge for Chen Mou. The process of going from nothing to something is quite difficult. Jehufton was involved in the Haiyan Jue project, and there was no problem with Chen Mou not returning to school. In the process of advancing the project, Chen Mou demonstrated a very high theoretical level, which made many experts and professors look at him with new eyes. Xiaobei also got familiar with the place, running around every day, and became a little princess that everyone loved. In addition to doing project research and development every day, Chen Mou spent the rest of his time practicing. Lin Huofang promised that as long as Chen Mou could digest it, there would be unlimited supply of practice resources. This kind of practice life is still quite comfortable. Chen Mou spends about 30 million worth of practice resources every month. Time came to the beginning of June. Chen Mou finally promoted to the realm of law scholar. During this breakthrough, Chen Mou deliberately flew to high altitude, but it still caused quite a stir. The stars flowed, the blue dragon split the sky, the phoenix shook the world, and strange phenomena appeared. Finally, everything returned to calm, and Chen Mou successfully broke through. This breakthrough also set a record for the speed of breakthrough of students in Xinghua Academy, but unfortunately no one knew about it. It's time to solve Chu Xiaoxi's problem, let's give it a try. Chen Mou was a little uneasy. Even if he was promoted to the realm of law scholar, Chen Mou still didn't have much confidence. Facing a giant like Suzaku, who dared to say that he was sure? However, Chen Mou also had a certain chance. After all, Suzaku's strength must have been severely damaged and was not in its prime. Why did it reincarnate? Was it to practice some kind of martial arts, or was it just for fun? Both reasons are a bit nonsense. Chen Mou guessed that Suzaku must have suffered an indelible injury and his strength was greatly damaged, so he reincarnated to practice in order to return to the peak. Although it is still extremely difficult to deal with a weak Suzaku, there is at least a little hope. After asking for leave from the research base, Chen Mou did not go to Mingdao University to look for Chu Xiaoxi, but returned to Yanghui City. Although Chu Xiaoxi's problem is more urgent, it doesn't matter if he has 1 or 2 days to deal with it. Before that, Chen Mou plans to explore the ancient mysterious realm again. If he can get something good in the secret realm, Chen Mou will have a better grasp of this action. He returned home first and entrusted Xiaobei to his parents to take care of him. Chen Mou chose one night and sneaked into the back mountain of Yanghui High School. With his current strength, he can walk sideways in Yanghui City. He used a little bit of the power of the law to distort the perception of the surroundings. Even the teachers in the school could not find that there was an uninvited guest in the back mountain. Open sesame! Open sesame! Open sesame! Chen Mou chanted this strange spell again, and he had to chant it 100 times. Sometimes Chen Mou even suspected that Mr. Grey Wolf had some bad taste. The password he cracked last time was even stranger. Soon, there was a reaction here. A hexagram array emerged, and the lines jumped to form some encrypted symbols. Chen Mou was just about to use his knowledge to decipher the code when someone suddenly patted him on the shoulder. "Hello, young man." A voice came, clear and cold, like the sound of a fairy in the clouds. If it were normal, hearing such a voice would definitely be a feeling of enjoyment, but at this moment Chen Mou was terrified. Ghost? He was already a law scholar, and he was also a storm inheritor. He could not hide any movement from him, but now he was patted on the shoulder without knowing it. This was too scary. Chen Mou's head was patted again, not very hard, and he could vaguely feel the softness of the other person's palm. What ghost? There's only one ghost here, and that is you, the big-headed ghost. Chen Mou looked back cautiously. Behind him, a woman of extraordinary beauty stood proudly with bare feet. This woman had a flawless face, long white hair, fluttering in the wind, and pointed ears similar to those of an elf protruding from her white hair. The left eye was dark blue, and the right eye was a transparent yellow. She was wearing a black robe with complicated patterns embroidered with gold threads, some of which looked like lotus flowers, some like eyes, exuding a mysterious aura. The person who came was the goddess of order. Chen Mou's heart beat violently, and he said unconsciously, "Although you are not a ghost, you are more terrifying than a ghost. How do you talk?" The goddess of order stretched out her right hand, and Chen Mou immediately felt that the space around him was completely locked, and his whole body could not move. Chen Mou's ears were pinched by the other party and twisted fiercely. "You have been promoted to the realm of Domain Master." Chen Mou secretly thought it was not good. The last time they met, the other party was still a saint, and now he has been promoted again. The Domain Master can control space, open up a domain, and kill the opponent with the power of the world. The power of the strong in this realm far exceeds the typhoon level and earthquake level, and is even much stronger than the energy of the ocean. The 3 emperors of Huaki country are in this realm. However, people like them will not take action easily, and they are all restraining each other with people of the same level in Qingyang domain. If the goddess of order was still in the realm of saint, with Chen Mou's current ability, he should be able to escape by performing some secret methods, but if the opponent is a domain master. Seeing that he could not win, Chen Mou had to admit defeat. "Hello, goddess, we meet again, we are really destined to meet." The goddess of order smiled brightly, with unparalleled grace. "It's not fate, I have been looking for you for 10 days, and after finding you, I followed you for a day or two." Chen Mou came to find me on purpose, and followed me? It's over, I met a psychopath. What are you thinking about? The goddess of order saw Chen Mou's face turn red and green. Chapter 277? This is a brand new encryption method you have never seen before. I was wondering why you were following me. Chen Mou said. I recently left my father's territory and came out to train. After wandering around for a while, I found that there was nothing interesting here, and then I thought of you. The goddess of order tilted her head. You have the inheritance of Haiyan and the breath of an ancient god. It's very mysterious, haha. The goddess of order laughed meaningfully, and Chen Mou suddenly felt something was wrong. Could it be that she wanted to kill people for money and treasure? Yes, Chen Mou coughed, I did get the inheritance of Haiyan, and by chance, I worshipped an ancient god as my master. Chen Mou's trick is called false and true. The inheritance of Haiyan is true, and it is also true that there is a little connection with the ancient god, but worshipping is nonsense. Because he felt that Haiyan could not intimidate the goddess of order, Chen Mou immediately used the tiger skin as a banner and used Mr. Grey Wolf to intimidate the other party. Even if you are the son of a god, you can't not give face to another ancient god. The goddess of order nodded and believed it a little. Turning her head to look at the hexagram array on the ground, could this array disk lead to your master's territory? Yes. Chen Mou raised his head and chest, calm and natural. At this time, he must not show his fear, otherwise the other party will see the flaw. Take me in and have a look. The goddess of order grabbed Chen Mou's arm and shook it. Are you sure you want to go in? This is my master's territory. Aren't you worried that I will do something bad to you? Chen Mou deliberately revealed a hint of ill intentions. You dare. The goddess of order snorted, even if your master is a big shot, there is no need to offend my father for no reason. What am I afraid of? Chen Mou was a little helpless with her. Is it great to have a good family background? Is it great to have a high level of cultivation? Sorry, with a good family background and high level of cultivation, you can really do whatever you want. Anyway, I won't take you in. Chen Mou refused firmly. This is my opportunity, how can I share it with you? I can see that you have been following me for so long just to seize my opportunity. The attitude of the goddess of order suddenly turned cold. In her eyes, runes of order were jumping, giving people a sense of danger. Let's talk it over. Chen Mou was a little lacking in confidence. After all, he did not have a deep connection with Mr. Grey Wolf and was not his disciple at all. Facts and lies give people different confidence. As the daughter of God, you must be reasonable. Look at you, relying on your high realm to oppress me, a vulnerable group. What kind of person is this? When you can beat him, you have to use fists. When you can't beat him, you have to use reason. Chen Mou is determined to convince others with reason. The goddess of order sneered, I didn't intend to target you, but you were the first to show hostility to me, but you were not strong enough, so I taught you a lesson. Later, when you escaped, didn't you say that we would compete with each other when we meet again? Chen Mou. Damn it, how could I know that it would not go according to the script? In the future memory, Chen Mou and the goddess of order first met in the starry sky. At that time, Chen Mou had practiced for many years and had already defeated King Haiyan territory. He was very strong. Of course, there is always someone better than you. Chen Mou was still defeated by the goddess of order. Chen Mou's current practice progress is faster than in his future memories. He thought that when they met, he would not be afraid of the goddess of order. But he really didn't expect that the two would meet in advance on Ziggy Star. If he had known that he would not say harsh words at that time, the goddess of order would really hold a grudge and come to find him on purpose. Okay, I'll take you in. Chen Mou had no choice but to give in. Yeah, that's about right. The goddess of order turned from anger to joy and smiled like a fool, which made Chen Mou stunned. He didn't expect that the goddess of order had this side. In the future memories, when Chen Mou met her, the other party was as cold as ice, and every move was indescribably domineering. It was not just like this to Chen Mou, but to everyone. She swept across the starry sky, and wherever she went, any genius had to give way to her. The king was born lonely and destined to stand at the top of all living beings, and no one could stand shoulder to shoulder with him. As a child of God, the goddess of order has a noble status that is far beyond the reach of the prince of the divine dynasty or the princess of the imperial dynasty. Naturally, she has the confidence to be superior to everyone else. Haha, I discovered your dark history. Chen Mou thought secretly in his heart, trying to make the best of a bad situation. Let's see how you can maintain that high and cold fairy appearance in front of me in the future. It's a pity that I couldn't take a picture with a camera. Why are you standing there? Take me in quickly. The goddess of order found that Chen Mou didn't take any action and just stared at her. Suddenly, her eyes narrowed slightly, revealing a trace of majesty. Okay. Chen Mou squatted down honestly and studied the encrypted lines on the hexagram array. After a period of research, Chen Mou finally cracked it. Password, PPNN 13% DKST Feb. First, this is what the encrypted lines mean. Chen Mou frowned, feeling that things were not simple. The password has been changed, and it is different from the last time. Sure enough, the password changes every time. The goddess of order also knows about this encryption method. After comparing it, she found that the content that Chen Mou cracked was correct. He is indeed the disciple of the mysterious ancient god. The goddess of order believed Chen Mou's words a little more. According to her understanding, no one on Ziggy Star should know this encryption method, but Chen Mou knew it, so it must be taught by the gods. Write the password. The goddess of order urged. So Chen Mou wrote PPNN 13% DKST Feb. First in the area below the hexagram array. After a while, there was no response. Chen Mou wrote password, PPNN 13% DKST Feb. First. As expected, there was still no response. I knew it wasn't that simple. Chen Mou muttered. What's going on? The goddess of order was puzzled. How should I know? Aren't you a disciple of this ancient god? Chen Mou. Maybe this is a test from the master. You can help me think about it. It may be a new encryption method. The goddess of order believed it and fell into deep thought. After half an hour, she said, I can't figure it out. What a coincidence. I can't figure it out either. Forget it. Let's leave. It seems that the master doesn't want to see us. Chen Mou took advantage of the situation and was about to leave. I won't share the opportunity with you. After I get rid of you, I will come alone later. The goddess of order grabbed Chen Mou's arm, and a dangerous breath filled the air. Let's talk about it. I'll think about it again. Chen Mou thought again, and the goddess of order watched him covetously. He tried several passwords that he thought were possible, such as PPNN 13% DKST Feb, first, but still failed. You are really bad. I am a little suspicious whether you are his disciple. The goddess of order said sarcastically on the side. I thought of it. Chen Mou's mind suddenly dinged, and a small light bulb appeared and glowed. The goddess of order cast a concerned look. What is it? The code is, she is more than 13 years old, and in the prime of her youth, in early February. Chen Mou wrote this sentence, and sure enough, the hexagram began to change. With a flash of light, it sucked the two people in. Chapter 278, Breakthrough. The two were sucked into the light of the six-pointed star disk and came to a desolate place. How did you crack the code? What does this sentence mean? She is more than 13 years old, and she is in her prime at the beginning of February. The goddess of order looked at Chen Mou with a burning gaze. Chen Mou said in a deep voice, this sentence comes from a place called Earth. I wonder if you know anything about this place. The goddess of order was shocked. Earth civilization? I seem to have seen it in my father's notes. This is a civilization in the first echelon of the universe. It is said that their technology is unfathomable. They can fold the sea of stars and manipulate time and space at will. Could it be that this ancient god is from Earth civilization? Chen Mou laughed, giving people a sense of unfathomable. In fact, the doubts of the goddess of order are also the doubts of Chen Mou, but this point cannot be shown, and people have to feel that everything is under control. Sure enough, the goddess of order saw his performance and became more apprehensive. Chen Mou continued to explain, PPNN is the first letter of the pinyin of the four words Ping Ping Niao Niao and Earth Civilization 13 is naturally 13, and the symbol % means the remainder of the Earth program algorithm, which is Ping Ping Niao Niao 13 remainder. DKST is the tip of the 16-year-old. February is the abbreviation of February in English, first is the first day, and February 1st is the beginning of February. You are really knowledgeable. The goddess of order was thoughtful. The goddess of order understood the meaning of the encrypted field and began to look around the surrounding environment. The most eye-catching thing was undoubtedly the palace in front of her. The merits of eternal calamity and the method of traversing the universe. What a great spirit. The eyes of the goddess of order lit up. It seems that the master of this kid Chen Mou is really extraordinary. Chen Mou pushed the door in with ease. This master-like behavior shocked the goddess of order even more. What is the name of this ancient god? The goddess of order followed in and asked curiously. Chen Mou wanted to start with the words my master to brag about himself, but thinking that Mr. Grey Wolf might be able to hear his words here, he changed his words and said, my name is Mr. Grey Wolf. Mr. Grey Wolf. The goddess of order felt that this name was approachable. Generally speaking, gods use honorific titles to show off their awesomeness. For example, the god of order, his real name is of course not this is his honorific title. Like Chen Mou, after he became awesome, he no longer called Chen Mou, but changed his name to the Lord of Storms and the Controller of Storms. Mr. Grey Wolf, on the other hand, sounds ordinary, and it is hard to imagine that this is the name of a god. Inside the palace, it is a secret place. The grass is lush, the shade is green, and the lakes are dotted in between, creating a peaceful scene. In the shade of the trees, there are also various animals running around, chasing and playing. You can pick some fruits to eat. Chen Mou pointed to the red-skinned fruits on the tree. The goddess of order picked one and took a bite. The flesh was very crisp, fresh and juicy. Not bad, it tastes good. The goddess of order agreed, but it was only good. The life essence in the fruit had almost no effect on people of her realm. The environment here is also very good. Are there any other strange things? The goddess of order asked. No more. The goddess of order glanced at Chen Mou. No more? This man is not honest again. How could the territory of the gods be so ordinary? The goddess of order dragged Chen Mou around and finally found a bronze portal. The bronze gate was embedded in the mountain, with its back against the cliffs. On the right side of the gate, there were 4 words engraved, the biting wind. Chen Mou recalled his previous experience here. It seemed that these 4 words were a hint of the level. You still found the bronze door. Chen Mou was secretly depressed. It seemed that this opportunity was destined to be handed over. But who knows, maybe when I ask for an equal share, she thinks Mr. Grey Wolf is my master, how dare she take it all? The goddess of order tried to push the bronze door. After a burst of power, The door was not pushed, but a burst of light surged, sucking the two people in. The two came to the first checkpoint, and gusts of cold wind blew on Tathagata, slashing them like a knife. Chen Mou almost died here, but with his current strength, he didn't take this little cold wind seriously. Soon, the two came to the second bronze door, which was engraved with 4 words blazing flames. With a flash of light, the two were teleported to the checkpoint. A desolate scene, flames emerged from the ground, scorching all around. The weather here is extremely hot and dry. Chen Mou feels that the temperature in the air is close to 200 degrees. Compared with cold, heat is sometimes more unbearable. The human body temperature is 37 degrees Celsius. For ordinary people, as long as they wear warm clothes, they can tolerate sub-zero ambient temperatures. But if the ambient temperature reaches 43 degrees Celsius, that place is called a big furnace, which is easy to cause heat stroke. If it reaches 50 or 60 degrees, it is simply hell. The ambient temperature here is as high as 200 degrees. This is not the most terrifying thing. The real threat is the flames that appear from time to time, which are extremely destructive. People who have not yet reached the level of miracle masters generally cannot fly, and they will surely die in such a place. However, with Chen Mou's current strength, he can ignore these flames. The two walked around and came to the bronze door of this level. The third level, the Thunder of Punishment. This level is densely covered with thunder, and its destructive power is much stronger than the thunder summoned by the Miracle Master. Chen Mou is now very strong and has mastered the power of the law. It is not a problem for him to resist these thunders. After a period of searching, the two came to the bronze door of this level. At this time, a doubt suddenly emerged in Chen Mou's mind. I just passed the first level, and Mr. Grey Wolf rewarded me with an ancient god lighthouse. Now it's the third level, why is there no movement? Chen Mou thought of 3 possibilities. First, these levels are too simple for them now. Without the situation that Chen Mou survived, Mr. Grey Wolf thought it was not worth rewarding. Second, Chen Mou did not take the initiative to ask for it, and Mr. Grey Wolf simply ignored him. You know, Chen Mou and Mr. Grey Wolf had communicated when he came in last time. Chen Mou wanted to ask now, but after thinking about it, he kept his mouth shut. I dare not say it, and I dare not ask. What if Mr. Grey Wolf responded, and the Goddess of Order saw the flaw when we were communicating? The third possibility is that Mr. Grey Wolf left and was not here at all, and he did not even leave any consciousness. Chen Mou's mood was changing, and the expression on his face was blue and white. At this time, the Goddess of Order had pushed the door, and after a burst of light, the two came to the next level. The fourth level, the Domain of Collapse. P.S. I found that the element name yesterday seemed to be garbled on the starting point mobile phone, but it was not garbled on the computer. This element name does not affect anything, you can ignore it. Chapter 279? I'm so scared. The Domain of Collapse. This level is much more dangerous than the previous level of the Thunder of Punishment. With a click, a space-distorting force suddenly appeared near Chen Mou, tearing his body. This time, Chen Mou's bones were directly injured. With Chen Mou's current body strength, it is not a problem to resist the thunder and magma eruption, but it is a little difficult to resist this kind of space-tearing force. The Goddess of Order waved her arm like a white lotus root, and a space force emerged. Layers of domains enveloped Chen Mou's body, resisting the space-tearing force. Chen Mou looked at the Goddess of Order in surprise. He didn't expect her to be so kind and take the initiative to help him. She must be plotting against my opportunity, and I feel guilty. Humph, hypocritical, Chen Mou understood. This level is a little difficult, or it can be said that it is a little difficult for Chen Mou, but the two finally came to the bronze door. The bronze door prompted the content of the next level, the Zone of Disorder. The content of the previous levels could be roughly guessed, but Chen Mou couldn't understand this disordered area. He subconsciously didn't want to go in, feeling that he couldn't stand it. Okay, the exploration is over, we should go back, Chen Mou said. The Goddess of Order looked at Chen Mou in confusion and pointed at the bronze door. Isn't there a next level? This level is too difficult, let's not go, Chen Mou said in a solemn voice with a solemn face. It shouldn't be difficult, the difficulty of these levels is gradually progressive, and the current level is not difficult. I think the next level will not be a problem for me. The Goddess of Order did not agree with Chen Mou's opinion. She was very excited to break through the levels. She had never seen such fun things in the Black Forest. Chen Mou was secretly depressed. It's not difficult for you, but it's very difficult for me. The goddess of order is in the realm of domain master, and there are two major realms between her and Chen Mou. This gap is even greater than the gap between the law scholar and the miracle apprentice. Before Chen Mou could think of an excuse to get out, the goddess of order pulled Chen Mou directly, and the light swept over, covering the two of them. Chen Mou. Did I agree? Then you pulled me in. In the previous levels, you could feel the change in the environment as soon as you entered, but in this level, except for the desolate environment around, there seemed to be no danger. But the more this happened, the more cautious Chen Mou became. It was just a calm before the storm. As the two went deeper, Chen Mou gradually felt the abnormality of the environment. The perception of the law became vague, and it was difficult to mobilize the power of the law. The goddess of order felt even more deeply about this. She was in charge of order, and could rewrite order, define order, and reorganize the law. But this place is called the zone of disorder. Here, the vague order between heaven and earth seems to have disappeared. It has become very difficult for the goddess of order to define some rules and orders on her own. This means that they can hardly summon the power of heaven and earth. From the law scholar upwards, when fighting, they often rely on borrowing the power of heaven and earth. Now that they have lost this ability, it is more serious than cutting off an arm. Mr. Grey Wolf's power is really like a sea of stars. The goddess of order was amazed. Although she claimed to be in charge of order, her realm was still low after all. She could not change anything in front of the rules defined by Mr. Grey Wolf. Chen Mou saw that she was like a curious baby, looking around, and seemed not to realize the seriousness of the problem. He could not help but remind her, "You have to be careful. These levels may hide fatal dangers. If you don't handle them well, you will fall." "Ah, you don't know this." Chen Mou felt that the matter was serious. The goddess of order was surprised at first, and then said confidently, "It's okay. With my ability, am I still afraid that I can't get through?" Well, the flag was set, and Chen Mou said he was very scared. Originally, he just wanted to break through 2 or 3 levels, ask Mr. Grey Wolf for some benefits, and stop when he saw the benefits. Chen Mou had a psychological shadow after breaking through the levels last time, and he didn't want to do anything he was not sure of. Unexpectedly, he came to the 5th level without knowing it, and didn't get a hair. Because it was difficult to mobilize the power of the law, and even the power of miracles was suppressed, the two could not fly and could only walk step by step. The goddess of order stepped on the ground barefoot, but it was not stained with any dust, and it was still very smooth. Both of them had good physical fitness. They could jump dozens or hundreds of meters with a light jump. If they ran at full speed, they would be like flying. But after a day, what they saw was still a desolate scene. I feel something is wrong. This world is not only disordered, but also a bit chaotic. Sometimes I want to go this way, but I go there. Chen Mou stopped and fell into deep thought. The goddess of order also frowned. This area looks a bit familiar. Have we circled back again? With their current realm, they will not get lost wherever they go. As long as they slightly sense the magnetic field between heaven and earth, they can find the direction. It can be said that they are walking compasses. But the magnetic field here is scattered. The rules are uncertain, and it is difficult to identify the direction. Think of a way quickly. Chen Mou said. Why don't you think about it? The goddess of order glanced at Chen Mou. You are at a higher level, and you are the daughter of God. You must have more methods than me. And you forced me to come to this level. The goddess of order thought it made sense, but then she thought about it and felt something was wrong. You are still a disciple of God. Isn't this your territory, your home court? You threatened me before that you would do something bad to me when I came in, but now you are weak. With a snort, the goddess of order was too lazy to argue with Chen Mou and prepared to show her own methods. She stretched out her right index finger, and a small flame of law was dancing at the tip of her white jade finger. The goddess of order forced a little law to be mobilized in this disorderly place. The angle of the flame tilted slightly, and the goddess of order was happy. I sensed it, this direction. The two went in the direction of the flame. Roar. The roar of the beast resounded through the world, and a group of beasts with scarlet eyes blocked the way forward for the two. A series of faint eyes were cast over and locked the position of the two. The danger of this level finally appeared. When the laws cannot be used, the bodies of fierce beasts are often stronger than humans. These fierce beasts are all fierce and violent, and their realms are not low. Moreover, there are many of them and they are extremely cruel. The previous checkpoints were all bombarded by the power of nature, But now there are creatures with a high realm. Chen Mou pointed forward and said, "Go." The goddess of order was about to charge, but after running a few steps, she found that Chen Mou did not catch up. "Why don't you go? My realm is low, you go, and I will be responsible for cheering you on." Chapter 280, The Forest of Confusion. Under the threatening gaze of the goddess of order, Chen Mou reluctantly rushed forward to fight with her. A mammoth rushed over and hit Chen Mou with great impact. Chen Mou stepped on the ground, jumped up, and punched the elephant's head. Although he did not have the power of law, with the blessing of the magic dragon burning blood technique and martial arts will, this punch alone could cause death oppression to a high-level miracle master. With a bang, the mammoth was hit and sank into the ground, but the injury was not serious. The pain stimulated its bloodthirsty desire and made its offensive more fierce. After Chen Mou entered the combat state, he focused and turned around to punch again. The air burst, the heavy mammoth was knocked flying by Chen Mou. The mammoth screamed, and the trunk pulled towards Chen Mou, knocking Chen Mou away. The two launched a charge again and fought fiercely. In the end, Chen Mou was more skilled and knocked the mammoth over. Chen Mou took some time to look at the goddess of order, and his eyes twitched. Compared to these behemoths, the goddess of order was more like a fierce beast. With one palm strike, a fierce beast flew backwards, and it was unknown whether it was dead or alive. In the realm of the domain master, one possesses energy more turbulent than the ocean. Even if the power of the law is sealed, the strength of the body cannot be underestimated. What's more, the goddess of order has divine blood flowing in her body, which is a true divine body. Even in the same realm, her strength is higher than Chen Mou's dragon body. Only when Chen Mou condenses the body of the storm can he fight with it. Not long after, the goddess of order solved all the fierce beasts. The two continued to move forward, and after encountering several waves of fierce beasts, they finally found the bronze door of this level. The next level is the Forest of Confusion. Don't go to this level, it's very dangerous. Let's study how to return. Chen Mou had a vague feeling that something was wrong. This intuition is difficult to explain. It is a kind of storm power, and it has a sense of what is about to happen. The goddess of order laughed. "You said the same thing in the last level. I don't think it's that difficult. Come on, let's continue." "You go, I won't go. I need to study how to return." Chen Mou refused. He had passed so many levels and didn't see any rewards. What was the point of passing them? The goddess of order was the same. Seeing that she was very excited, she didn't even ask about the rewards. Did she treat it as a sightseeing trip? The goddess of order narrowed her eyes slightly. "I'm a little worried about letting you leave alone." "Haha, you are so scheming. Do you think I don't know that this is your territory? I pulled you to my side, but you didn't dare to do anything. Who knows if you will trick me? Stop talking nonsense, continue." The goddess of order pulled Chen Mou, and the two of them entered the next level. Chen Mou was simply furious. Although the goddess of order was not as bad as she would be in the future, her domineering nature was beginning to show. "When I become stronger in the future, I will see if I can deal with you." Without bothering to argue with the goddess of order for the time being, Chen Mou looked around. The previous levels were extremely cold, or thunder-filled, desolate, but this level was full of beautiful scenery, which made people feel relaxed and happy. It can be said that the scenery here is more beautiful than what the two encountered when they first entered the Hongmeng Immortal Palace. The more this is the case, the worse Chen Mou feels. The greater the contrast, the more explosive the situation. The Forest of Confusion, the Forest of Confusion. Listening to this name, it is not surprising to have some trees, but it must contain great dangers. Here, the power of the laws of the two has been restored. The goddess of order flew to the branch of a big tree, picked a fruit, washed it and ate it. "Don't eat it," Chen Mou waved his hand to stop him. "This fruit may have side effects. Didn't you see that the name of this level is the Forest of Confusion? Eating anything carelessly will cause trouble." The goddess of order stared at the fruit in her hand for a few seconds, but didn't see any problem. She didn't care about Chen Mou's words at all. "With my realm, what can be wrong? No matter what kind of poison it is basically useless to the domain master. The power of the domain master is comparable to the ocean. How much poison do you have to release to poison an endless ocean? What's more, the goddess of order has divine blood flowing in her veins. This noble blood can naturally purify toxins and impurities." Chen Mou deliberately said sinisterly, "I think you should still have all of the things of God. Maybe this fruit contains that kind of effect. When you can't bear it, I will have to reluctantly sacrifice myself to save you. This is a routine that has been tried and tested in novels, and Chen Mou has read novels before. That kind of effect. The goddess of order was puzzled at first, and then a blush appeared on her fair face. You're going to die. The goddess of order was so scared that she threw the fruit away and then beat Chen Mou severely. Chen Mou touched his slightly red and swollen face. You don't know how to appreciate kindness. I'll bear with you for a while and get through this level first. A gentleman's revenge is never too late. Chen Mou knows how to bend and stretch. It's not that Chen Mou likes to meddle in other people's business and has to remind the goddess of order not to eat anything. It's just that if the goddess of order has a problem, it will be very difficult for him to deal with this level alone. As the saying goes, it's better to lean on a big tree for shade. It's safer to hide behind a high-level gold medal fighter. Chen Mou used the other party as a tool. The two of them walked around this area. In addition to feeling that the scenery here is pleasant, the air is fresh, and the spiritual energy is dense, they didn't notice anything strange. This time, Chen Mou was even more confused. In the previous levels, the danger came very directly. Even in the disordered area, there was no danger at the beginning, but it also imprisoned the power of the two people's laws. But this level, there is no breath of danger at all. Let's go into the woods. The goddess of order suggested. Not good, you are going to the forest knowing there are tigers there. This level is called the Forest of Confusion. How dare you go into the woods? What are you afraid of? My power of law is still here. What's the use of the power of law? It will directly confuse your mind. If you are in that situation, I can only sacrifice myself to save you. You are asking for a fight. Chen Mou was beaten up again, but the goddess of order was also scared and dared not go into the woods. In the following days, under Chen Mou's strategic guidance, the two of them took a detour when they saw the woods, and did not even consider flying over them. They searched for the bronze door of the 6th level for several days in a row, but found nothing. Of course, they did not encounter any danger in the process. The 10th day. The goddess of order frowned. How can I not find it? Is the bronze door in the woods? In the previous levels, she was at a high level and had a faint sense of the bronze door. Even in the disordered area of the previous level, she forcibly mobilized the power of law to sense it. But at this level, it is difficult to sense. Chapter 281, The Bronze Door That Can't Be Found. The goddess of order suggested running into the woods to look for it, and Chen Mou had no choice but to agree. The two of them shuttled through several woods in succession, and did not encounter any danger in them, which was beyond Chen Mou's expectations. But the two did not find the bronze door. The goddess of order and Chen Mou looked at each other, both a little helpless. In this case, they could not sense the location of the exit, so they could only turn around and try their luck. A month later, Chen Mou was dizzy. Where was the exit? Now he and the goddess of order were like two lost people, wandering around like headless flies, but all they did was in vain. This place is very wrong. The goddess of order murmured. Chen Mou rolled his eyes. Do you want me to say it? We have been walking for so long and have not seen the border, and there are no animals here. Looking around, it's all plants. The goddess of order clenched her fist. Are you itching again? Chen Mou immediately shut up. Is it a big fist? It's annoying. A bored look flashed across the face of the goddess of order. With a wide and tender fist as the center, the power between heaven and earth surged. The surging and vast power gathered like a sea of stars. Chen Mou's eyes twitched. Could it be that he wanted to beat me to death? I didn't say anything to refute him just now. The goddess of order punched forward, and the power burst out, and the world was shaken. The soil exploded inch by inch, and the trees evaporated instantly. A gully 5 meters wide and 5 meters deep spread towards the end of the sky. The power of the domain master was fully displayed. This is a power more vast than the ocean. One strike is enough to penetrate a planet. Now that he is at full strength, the length of this gully can be imagined. We will definitely not get lost if we follow this road. I want to see where the boundary of this place is. The goddess of order grabbed Chen Mou's arm, and the two moved forward quickly. Crossing this long gully, they came to the end. Except for the place destroyed by the goddess of order's blow, the places that were not affected were still lush and full of vitality. But when looking into the distance, the end was still invisible. Come again. The goddess of order punched again. The line continued to extend from the previous place. The two crossed to the end of the line, but still could not find the boundary. The goddess of order continued to try. drawing 10 lines in a row. Such a high-intensity burst was a bit too much for her strength, but when she reached the end, there was still an endless green ocean in the distance. Chen Mou was silent, his face a little solemn. The goddess of order had a good idea, to draw a line with strength to avoid getting lost, but this place seemed endless. The goddess of order was a little tired. She landed, sat on a piece of grass, took a few breaths, and her chest rose and fell slightly. You think of a way quickly. The goddess of order said. What can I do? Chen Mou shook his head. Isn't this your master's territory? I told you a long time ago that this level is very dangerous and asked you not to come, but you didn't believe it. You are killing me. Chen Mou was very depressed. The goddess of order felt guilty, but she would never admit it. I think you are the one who killed me. If I hadn't seen you enter the ancient god realm, how could I have followed you? If I hadn't followed you, how could I have passed the level? If I hadn't passed the level, how could I have been trapped here? So, the source of everything is still on you. Chen Mou. You are good at putting the blame on others. Chen Mou didn't argue with the goddess of order. The victory or defeat of an argument often depends on fists rather than words. Arguing with the goddess of order about this kind of thing is doomed to fail. By the way, you are the domain master, do you know the art of space travel? Chen Mou asked. The goddess of order said, I can travel a short distance, but it takes a lot of energy each time. Short distance? How far is that? I can probably jump from one planet to another adjacent planet. Chen Mou was a little surprised. Then why did you bother to use so many lines just now? Wouldn't it be better to travel directly through space? This place is a bit weird. It's similar to the previous level. It's hard to tell the direction. There's a sense of chaos. I'm worried that if I force the shuttle, I'll encounter space turbulence or something. The goddess of order said. You should try the method of space shuttle now. There's no other way to think of. Okay. The goddess of order calmed down and began to sense the coordinates in space. After a while, the goddess of order frowned. No, in this place, there is no way to lock the coordinates. The shuttle can only be random, or even impossible to shuttle. This kind of uncertain shuttle is too dangerous, or it may lead to returning to the starting point after several shuttles. The goddess of order decided to give up. After a short rest, the goddess of order stood up and said, forget it, we won't draw a line this time. Let's keep moving in one direction and see if we can reach the end. Without waiting for Chen Mou's response, the goddess of order directly grabbed Chen Mou's arm and started moving forward. Accelerate, accelerate, accelerate. The speed of the two gradually increased to a level that ordinary people could hardly imagine. Finally, it stabilized at a speed close to 0.1 times the speed of light. That is 30,000 km/s, 108 million kilometers per hour. This speed is enough to circle the purple pole star 1,000 times in an hour. If it is a smaller planet, it can circle more than 2,000 times. But after flying for a month, the two still haven't found the end of this area. The goddess of order slowly slowed down and landed on a piece of grass again. I'm too tired, take a rest. The two lay on the grass, looked up at the sky, and remained silent. The scenery in the sky was beautiful, but the mood of the two was not very good. After crossing such a long distance, they still haven't found the end. I don't know if they got lost and went in the wrong direction, or if this area is simply too big to imagine. Moreover, even if they really find the boundary, can they get out? If we assume that this area is a circle, then at which point on the boundary is the bronze door? There is an even worse question, is the bronze door at the boundary? I don't want to try anymore, ask your master to let us out. The goddess of order said weakly. Chen Mou was speechless for a moment, and finally said, I will try. According to the experience of the last level, when passing a level, it is okay to express that you will not participate in the next challenge and let Mr. Grey Wolf send the challenger back. But within the level, wanting to surrender and admit defeat and let Mr. Grey Wolf send them away, this. Senior, we admit defeat, can you send us back? Mr. Grey Wolf. Senior Grey Wolf. After shouting several times in a row, changing different statements, no response was received. Why doesn't your master respond to you? The goddess of order was stunned. Chen Mou said with an unsightly face, he may not be here. Chapter 282, Trapped Here Forever. Mr. Grey Wolf is not here. Chen Mou said this not to make excuses to the goddess of order. This may be true. Judging from the lack of response when the previous levels were passed, Mr. Grey Wolf has left, and there is even a possibility that his consciousness has not stayed. The face of the goddess of order changed. No way. That may be the case. Why don't you shout a few times and see? Chen Mou said helplessly. The goddess of order also shouted a few times, and there was indeed no response. It's all your fault. You killed me. The goddess of order said. You should have killed me. Chen Mou retorted. The two of them blamed each other for a while, but in the end, they didn't discuss anything. I think this level is called the Forest of Confused Mind. It is probably a test of our minds. It is unrealistic to find the border or the bronze door and force our way through. Chen Mou analyzed. The previous levels all require tests to reach the bronze door. This level should also be tested. The goddess of order nodded. That makes sense. What kind of mental test is it? How should I know? Chen Mou responded very straightforwardly. The general mental test is nothing more than triggering various emotions in people, such as arrogance, jealousy, rage, laziness, greed, gluttony, and lust. Or it is to create illusions and trigger the deepest fear in people's hearts. In the end, the protagonist defeated his emotions, gained some growth, passed the level smoothly, got rewards, and went home happily. Now they are thrown in a beautiful place. What kind of test is this? Hearing Chen Mou's answer, the goddess of order really wanted to jump up and punch him, but finally gave up. The two rested for a while and got up to continue looking for the bronze door. Half a year passed in a flash. The blood of the two was still vigorous and their bodies were strong, but their spirits were hit hard. They wanted to give up, but in the end they gritted their teeth and persisted and continued to move forward. Perhaps, whether they can persist is a test of Mr. Grey Wolf for them. A year later, the two lay on the grass to rest again. A feeling of despair spread in their hearts. Both of them are mentally determined people who will not give up easily, but here, it seems that everything is useless, and no matter what they do, it is ineffective. Chen Mou thought of his family and friends on Ziggy Star. A year had passed. I wonder how Suzaku's recovery progressed? Chen Mou's confidence in dealing with Suzaku was reduced. The opponent's strength gradually recovered, but Chen Mou was standing still. Father, mother and others, seeing that there was no news for so long, I wonder how worried they must be. And Xiao Bei, will he look at the gate eagerly, hoping that his father will come back? In Xinghua Academy, how would Su Dao, Chen Kai, Wang Jun's, He's Haij, Lin Sichen, Lin Chuanzhou and others react when they learned that he was missing? In the experimental base, I haven't been back for a year. Will anyone take over my job? I can't be trapped here. I still have many responsibilities to complete. Chen Mou stood up. In this life, people often live not only for themselves, but also for the people around them. Seeing Chen Mou stand up, the goddess of order also stood up silently, and the two continued to move forward. Day after day, 3 years later, Chen Mou was about to give up. He gritted his teeth and persisted for 3 years, but everything he did was meaningless. A person who can persist often sees hope, even if this hope is illusory. But Chen Mou can't see it now. In the past 3 years, Chen Mou also tried to practice. However, in this environment with rich spiritual energy, Chen Mou's practice progress did not increase at all. This and Chen Mou's behavior of looking for the bronze door point to the same result: useless work. Here, all actions are useless and will not cause any changes. Give up. The goddess of order sat down to rest. Our persistence is ridiculous. Never use human thinking to speculate on gods. Maybe we think we have persisted for many years and are great, and we will fall into a kind of self-touching. But in the eyes of God, this persistence is not worth mentioning. God is already more eternal than the stars. 1,000,000 years of time is just a moment for him. If you persist for 1,000,000 years, you may be able to move him. But, can you persist for 1,000,000 years? Chen Mou was silent and sat down next to the goddess of order. In his future memory, although he has the power of gods, he became a god for a short time and could not understand the thoughts of those gods whose ages are calculated in units of 100 million. So what do you think we should do? Chen Mou asked. Find a place, set up camp, and then slowly wait for your master to come back. Seeing his apprentice trapped here, he will not just stand by and watch him die. Actually, I'm not his apprentice. I lied to you. Chen Mou suddenly said something shocking. If it was before, he naturally didn't dare to admit this, for fear of being killed by the other party. But now 3 years have passed, he and the goddess of order are relatively familiar with each other, and have a little false friendship, so it doesn't matter if he admits it. The face of the goddess of order changed from astonishment, to confusion, and then to disbelief. "I'll beat you to death." The goddess of order jumped up and beat Chen Mou severely. Chen Mou's face was blue and purple, and he lay on the grass silently. After a while, the two sighed at the same time, feeling that the future was bleak. "By the way, isn't your father a god? You have been missing for so long, why didn't he come out to look for you?" Chen Mou suddenly felt hopeful again. The goddess of order said helplessly, "My father is sleeping. It seems that he is practicing a martial art. I don't know how long it will take for him to wake up. Besides, I just became an adult 3 years ago and came out to gain experience. My father knows about this. He may think that I am gaining experience. Why did he come to find me? You just became an adult at that time." Chen Mou was stunned. "Are you so young? Then how old were you when I met you in my freshman year?" Chen Mou thought about it and reacted. "Oh, I was wrong. Although you can see that your appearance also belongs to the human branch in the universe, judging from your ears, you may be an elf or something. I heard that elves become adults after 500 years old." "Bullshit." The goddess of order couldn't help but punch Chen Mou. "I was only 20 years old 3 years ago. My people become adults at the age of 20. Do you understand? What a violent girl. You beat people when you disagree with something." Chen Mou was very angry. "Then I am a little older than you. You can call me brother. My people respect strength. What's the use of your age? You should call me sister." The goddess of order punched Chen Mou again. "Don't hit me, don't hit me. If you're too violent, you won't be able to get married." Chen Mou was beaten to the point of losing her temper. She was suppressed by her strength and had no other choice. It was a pity that cultivation here had no effect at all, otherwise Chen Mou would have to practice hard here to get back at her. But thinking that the other party had cultivated to the realm of domain master at the age of 20, Chen Mou was deeply shocked. Can the children of God cheat? Chapter 283? Give birth to a child. The two of them cleared out a piece of open space, built a simple house each, and lived there. It must be said that this place is beautiful with mountains and rivers, and it is a good place to live in seclusion. But when Chen Mou thought that he was trapped here, he suddenly lost his good mood. This place is a big cage, although this cage is much bigger than Ziggy Star. Where in the world is not a cage? After Chen Mou built the house, he made a wooden reclining chair and lay on it to look up at the sky. For some people, Ziggy Star may also be a cage, but they cannot escape. Whether it is a cage or not, it is not about the size and comfort of the place. If the heart is bound, then this place is a cage that locks you. If possible, Chen Mou still hopes to return to Ziggy Star. So boring. Chen Mou, come and play chess. The goddess of order set up a table and called Chen Mou to come and play together. I'm not in the mood. Chen Mou said weakly. A shadow fell, blocking part of the sunlight on Chen Mou. Chen Mou tilted his head and saw the slender jade body of the goddess of order standing beside him, with her right hand clenched into a fist. Get up quickly. HMPH. Chen Mou snorted and still ignored her. If you want to fight, then fight. I am not a coward. The goddess of order stretched out her hands, grabbed Chen Mou's arm and shook it. Get up, get up. I've been bored to death for the past 3 years. Come and play chess with me. After being shaken by the other party for half an hour, Chen Mou finally couldn't stand it anymore. Okay, come on, what chess to play? Chen Mou stood up. Let's play chess. The goddess of order immediately explained the rules to Chen Mou. After playing a few games, Chen Mou suddenly felt bored. The rules were too simple. What is this game? Let's change it. Let's play chess. Chess. The goddess of order was slightly puzzled. This is something from the earth. Chen Mou stretched out his hand, and the miracle power pulled a large stone, cut it into a large chessboard and many chess pieces. After explaining the rules to the goddess of order, the two began to play chess. Chen Mou won the first 2 games. In the third game, the goddess of order had already fully understood the rules of chess and fought back and forth with Chen Mou. After playing enthusiastically for 3 days in a row, the goddess of order was not interested in playing on the 4th day. Although chess contains a lot of wisdom, it can often gain an advantage by relying on powerful computing power. Why can't many people beat the computer program of chess software? It's because the computer has strong computing power. You count 3 steps for 1 move, and the computer counts 10 steps for 1 move. How can you beat it? Both of them are at a high level, with strong mental power, and can calculate very quickly. Are there any other games to play? The goddess of order asked with anticipation. Then let's play Go. So the goddess of order played Go with Chen Mou for another 4 or 5 days. Are there any other games to play? The goddess of order didn't want to play again. Let's play flying chess. Chen Mou prepared a dice and threw it out. You can't use the law to control it, and don't deliberately use the force technique. It's all based on luck. With the realm of both of them, when playing flying chess, if they use some tricks, even if they want to throw 6 points every time, it is not difficult. That would be boring. Okay. The goddess of order looked very excited, and the two of them played flying chess. Are there any other games to play? Let's play Go Bang. Are there any other games to play? Let's play jumping checkers. Are there any other games to play? No more. What? No more. The fair face of the goddess of order was full of disappointment. Think of more fun games. Chen Mou thought for a while. Okay, let's play hexagonal chess. Royal battle chess. Sea chess. Are there any more? The goddess of order played all these chess games. No more, really no more. Chen Mou said helplessly. Think about it again, there should be more. The goddess of order said. Why do you always think about it? Why don't you think about it? I only know that one. Chen Mou thought about it and finally thought of 2 more interesting chess games on Zijixing, and then there were really no more. The two started with chess again and played it again. It's a pity that there are too few people here, so they can't play cards. Although there are card games that the two of them play, they are not very interesting. In this way, a year passed quietly. During this year, the two of them looked at the scenery every day, strolled around, and played chess from time to time. Their lives were monotonous but not too boring. The 5th year. The 6th year. The 7th year. The 10th year. Days passed one by one, and no miracles appeared. Everything here was still the same. Mr. Grey Wolf did not come back, and the God of Order did not come to save them. There was no danger here, and the atmosphere was very peaceful, but this repetitive and monotonous life gradually turned into a kind of torture. Humans are actually a kind of social animals. They are born to like excitement. Loneliness can make people crazy. Maybe some people don't like to go out and join in the fun, and prefer to stay at home, but that's because there's the internet. If you can't go online, can't watch TV, and don't have books, then, in Chen Mou's life, he has never had such an experience as this one. The goddess of order was also a little irritable. In the past, she had actually been living alone in the Black Forest, and the God of Order often slept. But at that time, there were many small animals in the Black Forest to accompany the goddess of order to play everywhere, and she spent a lot of time practicing every day. Practicing every day and appreciating one's own progress will give people great motivation. Otherwise, how can some people stay in seclusion for so long? But in this forest of confusion, without animals, there will be no progress in practice. Every day is just a meaningless way to kill time. Brother Mou, will we never get out? The goddess of order lay in Chen Mou's arms, staring blankly at the sky. Chen Mou gently hugged her slender waist. Maybe, I don't know. The goddess of order showed a gloomy look on her face. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have ignored your advice, at least I shouldn't have forced you in. You are all implicated by me. It's okay, maybe this is fate, but I still believe we can defeat it. At this time, Chen Mou deeply felt the teasing of fate. After 10 years, I think Suzaku has almost recovered. Even if it has not fully recovered, it is not something he can deal with at this time. The future Chen Mou did not change Chiu Xiaoxi's fate, and the present self who got the memory still repeated the same mistakes and could not turn the world around. Maybe this is the impermanence of fate. But Chen Mou still didn't believe in fate and didn't believe it could manipulate him. The goddess of order twisted her body in Chen Mou's arms, raised her white neck, leaned close to Chen Mou's ear and blew a breath gently. Brother Mou, let's have a baby. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelists. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 284? Order Code. Chen Mou and the Goddess of Order's plan to create a human being did not succeed. Although they tried many times, the rules of this world are like this, and everything they do is useless. The two walked hand in hand nearby, watching the scenery of mountains and rivers. Brother Mou, what are you thinking about? The goddess of order found that Chen Mou was a little absent-minded. I'm thinking about a problem in cultivation. Isn't it not possible to cultivate here? Chen Mou laughed and explained, cultivating here will indeed not improve your realm, but it is still possible to think about some difficult and confusing problems in cultivation. Chen Mou's future memory contains a huge amount of knowledge points, but he cannot use it freely. Sometimes when he encounters a problem, he needs to search his memory temporarily. This is because he has not internalized the memory into his own things. Chen Mou's current situation is a bit like an external large-capacity hard drive, which contains various exercises, secret techniques, and cultivation experiences that people dream of. If he can learn and master the knowledge in the hard drive through thinking and learning, Chen Mou's strength will be greatly improved. Let's go back and study the key points of cultivation. Chen Mou picked up the goddess of order horizontally and returned to their residence. The two sat on outdoor chairs, facing the breeze mixed with the fragrance of grass, and began to discuss the key points of practice. After some communication, Chen Mou and the goddess of order felt that they had learned a lot from each other. As the child of God, the goddess of order naturally had extraordinary knowledge. And Chen Mou mastered all the memories of God, and his understanding of practice could only be described as vast as the sea of stars. In this way, another year passed. Brother Mou, you are really amazing. The goddess of order looked at Chen Mou with a little admiration, feeling that his knowledge was not inferior to that of her father. Although the god of order was powerful, he was asleep most of the time and rarely guided the goddess of order's practice. She usually studied through the classics hidden at home. In the communication with Chen Mou, the goddess of order solved many of her previous doubts. Chen Mou also gained a lot and learned a lot about the ideas of order. The understanding of God is very worth learning from. Just like Chen Mou has Sea Swallow secret, but still wants to get Mr. Grey Wolf's skills. During this year, Chen Mou also digested some of the cultivation experience in his memory, and the Sea Swallow art was more smooth. Of course, compared to the huge flow of knowledge in his memory, this part did not account for a large proportion. Chen Mou felt that he had found a good way to kill time, which was to study the things in his memory. Otherwise, he would be so idle here that he would go crazy. The goddess of order had some hesitation on her face, as if she was entangled in something. After a fierce struggle, she finally turned into determination. Brother Mou, I will pass on a set of exercises to you now, but you must keep it secret and don't let my father know. He doesn't allow me to pass it on. What kind of exercises? The Book of Order. Chen Mou's body was shocked. Just by hearing the name, he knew what level of exercises this was. It must be the core cultivation method of the God of Order, and it was at the same level as the Sea Swallow art. Forget about this. Since you don't have your uncle's consent, you should not teach it casually. It doesn't matter. Anyway, we are trapped here and may not be able to get out. Even if my father knows, he will not punish me. Instead, you have to hide carefully and don't get caught. Okay then. Chen Mou nodded. He really wanted to study the supreme skills of the God of Order. In the future, he will call the goddess of order his father. It's not too much to look at the skills now. The goddess of order sent a divine thought, and the content of the order divine code was swept into Chen Mou's sea of consciousness. Chen Mou carefully experienced it and soon felt the subtlety of it. The power of order destroys rules, rewrites rules, makes rules, interferes with the operation of the galaxy, and is overbearing. The only regret is that this divine code is not taught by the God of Order himself, and it does not have the most vast and profound artistic conception. But even so, it is shocking enough. This is similar to the Haiyan Jue. It must be taught by Haiyan himself, with that kind of Taorim, to exert the strongest power. If Chen Mou passed it on, it would lack a bit of charm, unless he achieved the status of a god. At that time, he would be the real Lord of Storms, and could fully teach the meaning of the realm of Tao. The Book of Order is indeed overbearing. I will also teach you my Sea Swallow secret, and you can study it. Chen Mou couldn't call the sleeping Sea Swallow, so he had to pass on the Sea Swallow secret himself. Although it was not taught by Haiyan himself, it was also extraordinary. After all, it was the top practice in the world. The two of them exchanged their skills with each other, and in the next few years, they studied the new content they learned. The Book of God is vast and profound, containing the supreme wisdom in the universe. Even if it takes thousands of years to study, it is not too much. Chen Mou practiced the Sea Swallow secret and the Book of Order at the same time, one main and one secondary, and went hand in hand. Unfortunately, Practicing here has no effect, and everything Chen Mou studied is just talk. Anyway, this is good to at least kill time. And if he could go out one day, his understanding of the two divine scriptures would reach a deeper level. 20 years. 30 years. 50 years. The goddess of order suddenly opened her eyes. Brother Mou, when I was studying the sea swallow art just now, I suddenly felt an unusual fluctuation. What? Could it be that practicing here has an effect? Chen Mou immediately paid attention. In the forest of confusion, day after day of practicing and playing, there is nothing new, but now there is a change, which may mean a glimmer of hope. The goddess of order shook her head. My realm has not deepened, but I noticed that there seems to be a strange fluctuation in the direction over there. The goddess of order stretched out her white finger and pointed to the left. Let's go and see, could it be the bronze door? Chen Mou immediately stood up. The goddess of order's realm is higher than his. If she can understand the fluctuation of particles through the sea swallow art and sense the strangeness, it is not impossible. The goddess of order took Chen Mou's hand, and the two began to speed up. After flying for a month at a speed of 0.1 times the speed of light, the goddess of order finally landed in the middle of a forest. There, in the trunk of a towering tree, there was a hole, flashing with twisted light. It was not a bronze door. The two looked at each other, carefully reached out their hands, and touched the light. With a bang, the surrounding scene was shattered everywhere. The two stood in front of a bronze door and observed the surrounding scene. This seemed to be the end of the 5th level of the disorder zone. Chapter 285, Vacuum Fluctuation. What is this? The two of them were in a trance, as if they had just woken up from a dream. My clothes. After Chen Mou looked at the changes in the surrounding environment, he noticed the abnormality on his body. His clothes were bought at Xinghua Academy, which were relatively tough, but after all, he had lived in the forest of delusion for 50 years and had long been old. Therefore, Chen Mou used the materials inside to weave a few new sets of clothes. But now, Chen Mou was not wearing new clothes, but clothes bought at Xinghua Academy, and there was no trace of oldness. Could it be that the life of 50 years was just a dream? Chen Mou was in a trance. Everything was like a dream, like dew and lightning. If all this is a dream, then she who has lived with me for 50 years, is she real, or am I imagining it? Chen Mou looked at the goddess of order, who was in a state of daze. Chen Mou stretched out his broad palm and held the other's white and tender jade hand. The goddess of order was startled, came to her senses, and pulled her hand out as if she had been electrocuted. Chen Mou took another step forward and hugged the other's slender waist. Brother Mou. The goddess of order blushed on her fair face and buried her head in Chen Mou's chest and rubbed it gently. Chen Mou smiled, but a strange thought flashed through his mind. Am I still a virgin? The bronze door in front of him shook slightly, light and shadow intertwined, and words appeared. The two separated and turned their heads to pay attention to the movement of the bronze door. Hello, challenger in the secret realm. First of all, let me introduce myself. I am Mr. Grey Wolf, a traveler in the universe. If you see this text but don't hear my voice, it means I have left. Here, I want to congratulate you for passing my test completely. The last level in the secret realm is called the Forest of Confusion. I think you have spent a boring and tasteless life in it. 10,000 years, a full 10,000 years. In it, you will not die of aging, but you are very likely to die of mental breakdown. But you actually persisted, which is amazing. As a reward for you, I will teach you a way of attack that I created. This way is called the vacuum fluctuation technique. Chen Mou and the goddess of order looked at each other and showed joy. The attack technique of the gods is absolutely extraordinary. Even if both of them have some god-level Taoist techniques, they will never have too much of this kind of thing. Just as they were waiting to receive the reward, the light and shadow text on the bronze door suddenly changed. Wait. The program shows that you haven't spent 10,000 years. How come you came out in 50 years? Did I program it wrong? If so, I can't give you a reward. A question mark slowly appeared above Chen Mou and the goddess of order. Well, the reward still has to be given. After all, it's my own fault. Words continued to appear on the bronze door. Immediately, two beams of light rushed out, covering Chen Mou and the goddess of order. The two felt a stream of information pouring into their minds. Well, goodbye. This secret realm has completed its corresponding mission and will be destroyed by itself. Between the passing of time, Chen Mou and the goddess of order appeared in the back mountain of Yonghui High School. A breeze blew, bringing a hint of night chill, awakening the two who were in confusion. What are your plans now? After a moment of silence, Chen Mou broke the silence of the night. After coming out of the secret realm, the relationship between the two became a little awkward. In the secret realm, you can do whatever you want, but the real world seems to have an extra layer of restraint. Well, I should go to the central galaxy to train. In the future, I will become a god and gain power comparable to my father and Mr. Grey Wolf. This is my father's expectation and my dream. The face of the goddess of order was full of yearning. Then, I wish you all the best. Thank you. The goddess of order moved her body and embraced Chen Mou. I'll go first. Remember to find me. I'll come. Chen Mou's tone was calm, but revealed determination. The central galaxy is where the strong gather and the gods pay attention. Just because Chen Mou has obtained the inheritance of Haiyan, his future will not be limited to Zijixing, and he must go to the central galaxy. There are his opponents there. The battle is waiting for Chen Mou to start. The goddess of order in the future memory is already dazzling enough in the central galaxy. After all, she has divine blood, is extremely talented, and has mastered the art of order to perfection. She is a leader among the younger generation. And she will be even more brilliant in this life. The Order Divine Code, Sea Swallow Secret and Vacuum Fluctuation Technique. These divine ways, it is unimaginable for ordinary people to obtain one of them, but at this moment, they are all blessed on the same person. Chen Mou remembered his future memory. When he went to the central galaxy, he first won 2 small victories, and in the 3rd game he met the goddess of order and was severely taught a lesson. What are you laughing at? The goddess of order was slightly puzzled. Why did you laugh happily when you heard that I was leaving? Nothing. I thought that you in the future in the central galaxy must be unruly and willful, high and mighty all day long, and have a cold temperament. Chen Mou looked thoughtful. Not to mention, although the goddess of order looked down on everyone, there were many people who admired her. It can only be said that people may have a bit of a cheap mentality. How is it possible that I am this image in your mind? The goddess of order stretched out 2 fingers, grabbed the flesh on Chen Mou's arm and pinched it hard. Let go, it hurts, you see, your true nature is exposed. Don't, I'm just kidding, you are the most gentle and lovely girl I have ever seen. Okay, I really have to go. The goddess of order pecked Chen Mou's face gently. My gentleness is only for you. Chen Mou heard this and was slightly moved. Go. Looking at the figure of the goddess of order disappearing like a phantom, Chen Mou felt a little regretful, but also relieved. She left so soon. Well, it's better to leave. If she knew about me, Chu Xiaoxi, and Lin Sijin, this. Chen Mou felt that he still had to speed up the progress of cultivation, because if he didn't have the strength, he would always be bullied. Vacuum Fluctuation Technique. This move is really powerful. Chen Mou carefully experienced the moves passed down by Mr. Grey Wolf, walked back home, and checked the time on his mobile phone. It was just June 15th now. Chen Mou had been in the ancient god realm for so long, but in reality, only more than 10 days had passed. This time, in addition to obtaining the Vacuum Fluctuation Technique and the Order Divine Canon, there was another great gain. Although the past 50 years seemed like a dream, Chen Mou's mental strength has greatly improved. Chapter 286, Meeting Chu Xiaoxi. In the Sea of Consciousness, the spiritual power surged like a tide, and the ancient god lighthouse was spinning in it, shining brightly. After a brief estimation, Chen Mou felt that in terms of spiritual power alone, he could be on par with the domain master. Yonghui High School was not far from Jingxi Uminggyuan. Chen Mou took a light step. Although he did not see any movement, the mountains and rivers retreated rapidly and soon returned to his home. Dad, why are you back so late? Seeing Chen Mou coming back, Xiaobei immediately jumped up, hung on Chen Mou's neck, and rubbed it gently a few times. Xiaobei, be good, Dad was delayed by something. Chen Mou kissed Xiaobei on the face. Chen Mou was still in shock at this moment. He was trapped in the forest of confusion for 50 years, but fortunately it was only a dozen days in reality. These 10 days also included the time to pass the first few levels. If he really stayed there for 50 years, I'm afraid Xiaobei would have become old. Is it real or an illusion? At this moment, Chen Mou still couldn't understand the principle of the forest of confusion. Even if it is indeed just an illusion, Mr. Grey Wolf's ability to manipulate time and space is still terrifying if 50 years of it correspond to a moment in reality. This person understands the culture of the earth. Is he from the earth? Or has he just studied the technology and civilization of the Earth? Chen Mou felt that he still had a lot to learn. Although he would become a god on the future and his combat power would be among the top among the gods, if he really had to fight Mr. Grey Wolf, he would probably not be able to win. After greeting his parents, Chen Mou took Xiaobei back to the room. It was late at night, but Xiaobei was still not sleepy and pestered Chen Mou to tell him a story. Fortunately, Chen Mou was well prepared and had crammed many storybooks. He told the story leisurely. Then let's tell a story about a frog prince fighting a 9-headed dragon today. After telling 3 stories in a row, Xiaobei finally fell asleep, and Chen Mou began to study vacuum fluctuations. What is a vacuum? A vacuum is not actually that empty. It is filled with energy and particles. Vacuum fluctuations, also known as quantum fluctuations, mean energy changes in space. Fluctuation means that energy is sometimes high and sometimes low. This does not mean that energy is not conserved, because when energy changes, the gravitational field also changes. The negative energy of gravity cancels out the positive energy corresponding to matter or energy itself. Therefore, the energy of the entire system remains unchanged. The vacuum fluctuation technique, on the other hand, is to utilize this fluctuating energy and manipulate it at will. When practicing to a deep level, in a moment, the energy of the universe gathers, with the infinite power to collapse the sea of stars. This is similar to Chen Mou's sea swallow Jue. Sea swallow Jue can also use the particle fluctuations in the universe to extract energy from it. The vacuum fluctuation technique can be used in reverse to manipulate the gravitational field and drive the movement of various stars. This move is really powerful, and it is just right to match my sea swallow Jue. Chen Mou's face lit up, and he calmed down and continued to comprehend the mystery of the vacuum fluctuation technique. Sea swallow Jue is a cultivation method, and the vacuum fluctuation technique is a way of attacking, which draws the energy of the entire starry sky and suppresses the opponent. In an instant, the galaxy exploded and the world was opened again. However, this is a power that can only be displayed at a high level, and now Chen Mou can only think about it. Although I am a beginner of the law scholar, now I have all kinds of divine arts to bless me, and my combat power should be comparable to that of a mid-level law scholar. Chen Mou felt the surging power in his body. At the beginning, he was at the beginning of the Miracle Master, and he drew the power of the ocean to suppress the high-level Miracle Master. But the realm of the law scholar is very different, and the high level is much stronger than the initial level, and it is not so easy to challenge across levels. Back then, Dean Kong paid a huge price, crossed many spaces, and directly cursed Director Lu, who was at the beginning. Director Lu wanted to resist, but he could not escape death. However, Lu Jingshan is incomparable to the current Chen Mou. Even if the saint takes action, it will cost a lot to curse the current Chen Mou, and it will not succeed in the end. In general, the curse is a thankless thing, and basically no one uses it. If they face each other, Dean Kong will directly beat Lu Jingshan, but using the curse will hurt both sides. If I use the ancient god lighthouse to face a high-level law scholar, I can fight him, otherwise it will be difficult. Chen Mou touched his chin, but if I study the vacuum fluctuation technique in depth, maybe I can fight him with my bare hands. As for the things recorded in the Order God Codex, Chen Mou decided to use them less, so as not to be sensed by the God of Order. Although he couldn't use it, just by using it as a reference, Chen Mou felt that his understanding had deepened a lot, and the sea swallow secret had improved again. The next day, Chen Mou said goodbye to his parents and took Xiaobei to Mingdao University. Chen Mou restrained his breath and stepped into the campus. If an ordinary law scholar came, he would probably have been sensed by the teachers in Mingdao University, but Chen Mou had a very deep understanding of energy fluctuations, and he could show whatever fluctuations he wanted. If he didn't want to show it, it would be difficult for others to detect anything. Xiaoxi, are you there? Chen Mou took out his mobile phone and dialed a number. Although he and Xiu Xiaoxi had been communicating through letters, they certainly had each other's phone numbers. Chen Mou was in a rather uneasy mood, but he tried to control his voice as much as possible, so as not to let the other party hear any flaws. Chen Mou. A cold voice with surprise came. I'm at Mingdao University, are you interested in meeting me? Chen Mou's tone was smiling. Where are you? Tell me where you are, and I'll find you. Well, I'm here at library number 2. After hanging up the phone, Chen Mou went to buy a bouquet of flowers first. The name of the flower, Starry Sky Promise. Starry sky wish represents eternal friendship. Starry sky promise symbolizes passionate love. Good luck, young man. The owner of the flower shop was a middle-aged uncle, and he smiled slightly when he saw this. He has run a shop at Mingdao University for many years, and he has seen a lot of such things. The hormones of youth ignited the blood of students on campus. Some people successfully held hands and were overwhelmed, while some students were given the nice guy card and were distraught. Seeing the young man thanking him and leaving, the flower shop owner was filled with emotion. Young people are so energetic. Whether they succeed or fail, this is youth. It's a pity that I can't leave, otherwise I could go over and join in the fun. The flower shop owner shrugged and continued to focus on his business. The young man only bought a bouquet of flowers, which was too small. If he bought a lot of flowers and spread them all over the floor, it would cause a sensation and be recorded by students on campus. I guess you won't be able to see the video on the forum. This kind of thing is too common, and students passing by are too lazy to record it. Chen Mou came to the large square in front of the main entrance of library number 2 with the flowers in his arms and dialed the phone. Xiaoxi, I'm here. Well, I'll be down now. Chapter 287, Mental Power Confrontation. You will do this later. Chen Mou leaned close to Xiaobi's ear and began to give orders. Yes, I promise to complete the task. Xiaobi nodded repeatedly. That's fine. Chen Mou showed a relieved smile. After waiting for a while, Chu Xiaoxi finally appeared. Today, Chu Xiaoxi, wearing a black dress, walked slowly down the steps of the library. With bright eyes and white teeth, and a clear and elegant appearance, she did not deliberately show it, but naturally had a cold and noble temperament. The students who were playing in front of the library were immediately attracted. Although she was still a junior, Chu Xiaoxi had already broken through to the realm of a law scholar last semester. This achievement broke the record of Mingdao University for many years. For others, it is more difficult to advance to a higher realm as time goes by, but Chu Xiaoxi seems to ignore this law and advances at an unimaginable speed. When I heard that Chu Xiaoxi's talent made other Hall of Fame families afraid of her, many people thought it was exaggerated. But now it seems that it is still underestimated. Peerless beauty, terrifying talent, powerful family background. This is how Chu Xiaoxi is seen by everyone. When she was a freshman, she was pursued by many people, but now these people have stopped pursuing her and dare not mention it anymore, because they have seen clearly how much they are worth. Chen Mou. Chu Xiaoxi walked slowly and stood in front of Chen Mou. The tone was somewhat friendly, but Chen Mou heard alienation in it. If it were the Chu Xiaoxi in the past, she would definitely show surprise when she saw Chen Mou coming. But now Chu Xiaoxi's face was very calm. How about we go to the bachelor's forest over there? Chen Mou suggested. Chu Xiaoxi showed a hesitant look on her face. I still have 2 books in the library that I haven't finished reading. If you have anything to say, just talk here. Chen Mou felt a little regretful, but he didn't force it. He handed over the dazzling starry sky promise. Here you go. Chu Xiaoxi had also heard about the flower language of starry sky promise. She wanted to decline, but thinking that she had just rejected Chen Mou's proposal once, she was embarrassed to reject the other party's kindness again. Maybe Chen Mou bought the wrong flowers, Chu Xiaoxi thought so, and took the starry sky promise. The students in the distance all widened their eyes, and some suspected that they were hallucinating. It's impossible. How could senior sister Chu accept flowers from others? Hallucination, it must be an illusion. I was too tired from training yesterday, and I didn't sleep well at night. There were also some junior and senior students who narrowed their eyes and looked at Chen Mou's appearance, feeling a little familiar. Xiaoxi. Chen Mou stared at Chu Xiaoxi's eyes. Huh? Chu Xiaoxi looked at Chen Mou in confusion, blinking her long eyelashes. I like you. Be my girlfriend. Chen Mou said word by word. It took a lot of effort to say these short words. Chu Xiaoxi finally couldn't keep her face calm anymore and scratched the corner of her clothes with her green fingers. Well, I haven't thought about this. Chu Xiaoxi's face turned red and she looked uneasy. Chen Mou, as if he hadn't received the other party's rejection, took out the last blue diamond necklace from his pocket, walked in front of Chu Xiaoxi, and put the necklace around Chu Xiaoxi's slender and smooth neck, and then buckled it. During the whole process, Chu Xiaoxi lowered her head and dared not look directly at Chen Mou's eyes. Xiaoxi, raise your head. When Chen Mou's words came, Chu Xiaoxi subconsciously raised her head, and what caught her eyes was a bright and almost dazzling look. Chen Mou's mental power burst out with all his strength. At this moment, he has the mental power of a domain master. The ancient god lighthouse vibrated continuously, and a trace of the power of the god penetrated out. The vacuum fluctuation technique was in operation. This move can not only be used in real-life battles, but also has the effect of increasing mental power. The energy in the void penetrated into Chen Mou's mind. Xiaobei also grabbed Chen Mou's thigh at this time, and the ability of double stimulation was displayed, and Chen Mou's mental power surged again. Xiaoxi, believe me, use my power to get rid of Suzaku's shackles. Chen Mou's words, with a sense of grandeur and majesty, knocked into Chu Xiaoxi's heart word by word. He had been preparing for a long time, just for this opportunity. The confession just now was a sincere word, but it was also to create an opportunity to shake Chu Xiaoxi's, Suzaku, mind, otherwise the mental power could not invade. Originally, Chen Mou wanted to attack personally and defeat Suzaku's consciousness, but the other party was a god after all, and it was almost impossible to do this. What's more, Chu Xiaoxi and Suzaku exist as one and are inseparable. Defeating Suzaku's consciousness is also a great harm to Chu Xiaoxi. Then the only way is to guide Chu Xiaoxi and use Chen Mou's power to seize the dominant position. Chu Xiaoxi was still a little confused by this sudden change, but subconsciously thought that Chen Mou would not harm her, and immediately accepted Chen Mou's spiritual power blessing. Chen Mou's spiritual power, under various amplifications, was as vast as the abyss and the sea, so vast that even if a peak domain master came and accidentally fell into this situation, he would be suppressed by Chen Mou in an instant. But Suzaku is not a domain master, it is an eternal existence, an immortal god, and the highest between heaven and earth. Originally only in a semi-recovery state, it was shocked at this moment and immediately awakened. Who is it? The majesty of God permeated, and even a trace of it was enough to tremble. But at this moment, it was Chu Xiaoxi who was fighting against it. Although Chu Xiaoxi was weak, he was also a god in essence, and the majesty of Suzaku was ineffective against him. What are you doing? I am you and you are me. We can merge and return to the top. I failed in the last battle of gods, but lying dormant and reincarnating to cultivate again may be a new breakthrough. I and we will be stronger when we return to the top. It's ridiculous that you indulge in the illusory emotions on this small planet. You want to fight me for him? Fighting me is fighting yourself. Xiuq's words were cold and calm. He was not panicked at all when he suddenly encountered an accident. A spiritual power that was more vast and noble than Chen Mou's, as if it was going to surpass the heaven and earth, surged out. The two began to fight fiercely. In the square, everyone was petrified and stared at the scene in front of them. They did not sense the fierce battle in Chu Xiaoxi's sea of consciousness. The scene that these people could see was that after Chen Mou put the necklace on Chu Xiaoxi, his hands were still on Chu Xiaoxi's shoulders. The two looked at each other like this, with a loving look, and a beam of starry sky between them. What a magical day, maybe I'm still dreaming. A boy who had just walked out of the library saw this scene and immediately felt his legs go weak. The performance of others was not much better than his, with strange expressions on their faces. Chapter 288, God's War. Chu Xiaoxi's voice sounded, with a hint of confusion, I don't want to disappear, nor do I want to be merged. If possible, I hope to be an ordinary person. Xiuq still responded calmly, I understand your thoughts, but this is the fact, you can only accept it. We are destined to be extraordinary and destined to be above the heavens. Don't be deceived by him again. No matter how good he is to you, he is just an outsider. We are one. Now, wake up. No. Chu Xiaoxi's voice was resolute. The mental confrontation between the two sides gradually escalated. The battle that was originally limited to Chu Xiaoxi's sea of consciousness revealed a trace of aftermath. A terrifying pressure radiated out from Chen Mou and Chu Xiaoxi. What's going on? The students around were startled and felt something unusual. Aren't these two people showing off their love? Looking at this momentum, it seems like they are going to go to war? Is this the power of a lost scholar? A freshman, with muscles tense, felt his heart being gripped by an invisible majesty. Chu Xiaoxi is fine, but who can fight against her? Not only the students, but also several teachers nearby were alarmed and quickly moved over here. You are stubborn. Xiuq said indifferently, then, I will tell you what the power of God is. A wave of awe-inspiring waves penetrated all directions. From behind Chu Xiaoxi, a huge phantom of Zhuge rose up, covering the entire sky. The energy between heaven and earth gathered crazily and poured into Chu Xiaoxi's body. What is this? Under the radiation of this majesty, the students nearby finally couldn't bear it and sat down on the ground. Even the teacher who came to watch the battle and was at the level of a law scholar could not hide the shock in his eyes. That kind of majesty seemed to be above the sky, looking down on all living things. The whole world was locked by this will, and all the rules were controlled by the other party. Just as the phantom of Zhuge rose up, the sky behind Chen Mou darkened, and a seagull broke through the clouds and directly broke the rule blockade of Zhuge. The sky of Mingdao University was divided into two. One side was occupied by Zhuge, red as fire. The other side was ruled by the seagull, dark as water. Countless people looked up at the sky, watching the two overlords fighting in the sky. The forces of both sides fought, and the boundary at the intersection was clear. Two birds circled in the sky, with endless indifference in their eyes. Are you the lord of the sea swallow? I have already seen this. The sea swallow is nothing special. It is the spirit of heaven and earth. It is not powerful and has no self-awareness. It just randomly chooses a host to cultivate. The sea swallow may be able to cultivate a god, but it does not have the power of a god, and Chen Mou is even farther away from becoming a god. Suzaku's words were cold and emotionless, and his power erupted again. In the sky, the phantom of the Suzaku gradually suppressed the phantom of the sea swallow. Even if the god suffered a severe blow, the power is not something that ordinary people can imagine, not to mention that Suzaku has been recuperating for a while. If it really erupts, it will not be a problem to slaughter the domain master, not to mention Chen Mou who is in the realm of a law scholar. As for the sea swallow, it is not to be feared. Only the real god is qualified to talk to Suzaku. Is this the power of God? It is so vast. Your position is very noble, but I am capable of standing shoulder to shoulder with you. Chen Mou smiled, but his calm words made Zhuge feel the danger for the first time, because I am also a god. A space-time wormhole appeared from behind Chen Mou, shaking the whole world. The power of God spread from the wormhole like the sea. Chen Mou summoned a trace of future power. The power of the peak god, even if it was only transmitted through the wormhole, was still enough to shock the world. At this moment, not only inside Mingdao University, but also outside, countless eyes were cast. Several saints who temporarily retreated from the starry sky battlefield felt the suffocating pressure and looked up suddenly. However, some of them were even in another province, too far away to see clearly. Even those who were closer could only feel the oppressive breath and could not see through the fog here. The power of the future Chen Mou poured into Chu Xiaoxi's body, but did not destroy it, but blessed Chu Xiaoxi's consciousness. Chu Xiaoxi had been completely suppressed by Suzaku, but suddenly he was blessed by the divine power and immediately launched a counterattack. This was Chen Mou's trump card. Although he had the divine consciousness of a domain master, Chen Mou did not expect to succeed with this method. He just used it to consume some of Suzaku's strength. The one who could suppress a god must be the god himself, or another god. Chen Mou had both. Chen Mou had prepared this move for a long time, and even practiced it before entering the ancient god realm. Now with the amplification of the vacuum fluctuation technique and strong mental power, the effect was better than he imagined. The students nearby had already been stunned, and several teachers were also trembling, almost suffocated by the divine power. Suzaku, who had been calm all the time, finally showed a feeling of surprise. A minute later, the confrontation between Suzaku and Haiyan in the sky subsided, and both disappeared. The wormhole behind Chen Mou dissipated in a slight shock. He was no longer able to maintain it, and 1 minute was the limit. Did it work? Chen Mou stared at Chu Xiaoxi, not daring to blink. The confusion in Chu Xiaoxi's eyes finally turned into calmness. Chen Mou, goodbye. Chu Xiaoxi threw down the bouquet, and the laws behind her condensed and finally turned into a pair of huge fiery red wings. She rose up and soon disappeared into the sky. How could it be? Chen Mou was unable to support himself and sat down on the ground. Xiaobei was led by him and sat down. At this time, his lips were dry, his face was pale, and his spirit and energy were completely collapsed. There is always a price to pay for summoning the power of God. Chen Mou consumed all his energy and half of his life. Dad, aren't you? Xiaobei felt Chen Mou's frustration and leaned over with her little body. Chen Mou used up a lot of strength to hug Xiaobei gently, and remained silent. Xiaobei stretched out her white and tender little hand and pressed it on Chen Mou, transferring some energy to him, and finally made Chen Mou's condition improve a little. 3 days later, Chen Mou returned to Xinghua Academy. This time, the commotion was extremely loud, but the internet was completely silent, and all the news was strictly blocked. At the time, a student filmed a video of the scene, but the video was forcibly deleted by the Mingdao University authorities who arrived later, and it could not be circulated. When Chen Mou summoned the power of God, all the students were stunned to the ground, and even several teachers fainted. Only 2 or 3 teachers witnessed it with their own eyes, but they were also ordered to keep it secret by the top leaders of Mingdao University. But the power of God has been circulated among some high-ranking officials in Huaki country. Chapter 289. Handing you over to the country. The stars of June are hot. It is another graduation season, and a faint sadness lingers over the school. Chen Mou walked on the flat road in the school, looking a little depressed. Dad, don't be sad. Xiaobei held Chen Mou's hand. Although Aunt Chu threw away the flowers you gave her, at least you still have the blue necklace. The flowers are worthless, just throw them away, but the necklace is quite expensive, worth a lot of money, and this money can be used to buy many big meals. Aunt Chu must be reluctant to throw it away. Xiaobei held Chen Mou with one hand and counted with the other hand. Chen Mou was amused by Xiaobei and felt better. Overall, this action was not successful, but maybe it will be better than the situation in the future memory. Graduation. A senior student walked by with melancholy, and his roommate next to him sighed silently. Only when the day of graduation comes, you will understand how reluctant you are to leave the school. Graduation, what a pity. A sophomore said. Sister Lin, who has been the top of the school beauty list for 4 consecutive years, is also leaving. Someone next to him said, I heard that Sister Lin will give a speech as a student's representative at this graduation ceremony. We can go and see her style then. Sister Lin is too talented. Not long ago, she was promoted to the realm of law scholar. She should be the most talented student since the establishment of our Xinghua school. One person was amazed. This kind of talent is out of reach. It's not that there are no geniuses among the students in the past. After all, some of the students trained by Xinghua Academy eventually became saints. But even these saints did not reach the realm of law scholar before graduating from their senior year. Sister Chen is graduating. Chen Mou was slightly dazed. Time passed so quickly. The scene of their first meeting seemed to be just yesterday. He did not stop and took Xiaobei to the direction of Xinghua dormitory. Where is Sudao? Chen Mou returned to the dormitory and found that the other 2 roommates were in the hall, but Sudao was nowhere to be seen. But he just asked casually. With Sudao's personality, it was very common for him to go out for training, and it was normal for him not to be in the dormitory. Wang Jun said, Sudao, his brother Su Hang, was beaten almost half disabled by the people of Qingyang domain. Sudao was stimulated and determined to take revenge. Now he went out for training. Wang Jun's continued to tell the story in detail, and Chen Mou figured out the reason for the matter. In the future memory, there was indeed such a thing, and he had heard about it. In order to protect the country's scientific research results for many years, he bared his life's future. This is not very tragic, after all, many people died to resist the offensive of Qingyang domain, but Su Heng can be said to have acted with a clear conscience and lived up to the name of the Su family. Maybe, I should do something for this country. Chen Mou asked Xiaobei to stay in the dormitory and watch cartoons, and he turned and walked out. In the principal's office, Jie Hufeng saw Chen Mou's arrival and looked a little surprised. Chen Mou, you. Jie Hufeng had heard about the shocking battle between Chen Mou and Chu Xiaoxi. He could sense the terrifying power in the breath that made people palpitate in Xinghua Academy. But it was a bit strange that the duel between the two was only between them, which seemed to be a different kind of contest. After a big battle, Mingdao University was not damaged at all. If Chen Mou and Chu Xiaoxi really fought with that kind of power, without control and fully released, I am afraid that the entire Ziji star would be torn apart. And only the Hall of Fame masters could sense this kind of majesty that soared into the sky, while ordinary people were not moved. Principal, do you want to ask about the matter between me and Chu Xiaoxi? Chen Mou understood. If you have something to hide, don't tell me, I won't ask. Jie Hufeng said. The power displayed by Chen Mou shocked the entire Huaki country. But because of this, no one dared to inquire about Chen Mou's affairs. That power seemed to be above the heavens, making everyone deeply afraid. In fact, there is nothing to hide. The power I showed is the power of God. Chen Mou said lightly. God? This power seems to be much stronger than the domain master. Jehuftan was surprised. He had never heard of such a level division, but in novels, the realm of God often appears. Chen Mou said, that's natural. God is the supreme being of the universe and the master of heaven and earth. If God gets angry, it will only take a moment to overturn King Gang domain. What? Jehuftan was shocked. Then he thought of something and looked at Chen Mou expectantly. Old principal, you don't need to look at it. I don't have such great ability. The power I borrowed that day is not even 1/10,000th of God, and the cost is too great to be used again. Chen Mou certainly knew what Jehuftan meant. If he really had such strength, he could just destroy King Gang domain directly. There would be no need to fight a fart war. Everyone could go home happily for the new year. Jehuftan felt a little regretful, but he also knew that what Chen Mou said was true. Chen Mou continued, although I can't use such power easily, I came here today to hand over something to the country. Chen Mou sent a divine thought into Jehuftan's sea of consciousness. What is this? Jehuftan received a spell. He only had a preliminary understanding of it. He could feel its exquisiteness and abnormality before he studied it in depth. This spell is called the Secret of Longevity. In addition, Chen Mou also spread the method of making an oath. This oath communicates with the heaven and earth and can prevent the spell from leaking out. In fact, Chen Mou had long wanted to spread the secret of longevity. It can improve the combat effectiveness of Huaki country, and there are many similar spells in Chen Mou's memory, so there is nothing to treasure. However, Chen Mou was weak before and did not want to cause trouble and let some forces spy on him. The most important thing is that he grows up smoothly. Without being modest, Chen Mou will play a key role in the war against King Gang domain in the future. Now Chen Mou has been promoted to the realm of a law scholar. Even if the saint takes action personally, Chen Mou can slip away if he cannot beat him. He is not afraid of trouble. What's more, he has just shown the majesty of God, and I think no one dares to take action against him. In fact, there are already many big figures who suspect that Chen Mou is the reincarnation of a great power in the universe. They basically had no concept of gods, but they also knew that there were beings stronger than the domain master in the outer space. This tactic is indescribable. Its grade is probably much higher than the strongest technique of our Huaki nation. As the research deepened, Jehufan became more and more excited. Chen Mou coughed and said, this tactic can enhance vitality, repair injuries, and also have a significant increase in combat power. This was also the intention of Chen Mou to send the Eternal Life tactics. Jehufan had been fighting in the starry sky for many years and was already covered in wounds. The vitality of a saint is strong, but when the opponent is also a saint, the injuries are not so easy to eliminate. In the future memory, Jehufan went to the battlefield with injuries again, and was eventually buried in the vast sea of stars. Chen Mou did not want to see this happen again. Chapter 290? Chen Mou's name. How do you plan to use this magic formula? Jehufan asked. Chen Mou said at the beginning that it would be handed over to the country, not given to Jehufan. I have to trouble you, the principal, for this matter. Chen Mou said. This magic formula must not be spread randomly. It can only be spread in a small range. If it is spread on a large scale, it is estimated that King Gang domain will get a copy in the end. If everyone has it, it means that no one has it. Jehufan heard it and agreed with it. Although Chen Mou passed down an obscure oath to ensure that the magic formula would not be leaked. But things in the world are not that simple. Large-scale dissemination and confidentiality are originally two contradictory aspects. Therefore, it can only be passed on to people who have been tested, loyal to the country, and have strong talents. Well, the imparter must be carefully considered and must ensure their loyalty to the country. People like Wang Cheng are definitely not qualified. Chen Mou said, and did not forget to insult Wang Cheng. I think you, Dean Kong, and Su Heng are more suitable for this magic formula, and can use it to repair their injuries. As for the others, I don't know, so I can only trouble you to allocate and arrange them. Yes, I will arrange it right away. Jehufan nodded. Dean Kong is naturally Kong Dexiao, who can't tolerate any sand in his eyes. Needless to say, he is loyal to the country. Of course, he has resigned and is now an ordinary teacher in Xinghua. There is also Su Heng, who is extremely talented, but unfortunately he is unlucky. Jehufan continued, As for the others, a strict inspection mechanism needs to be established. Only those who have made contributions to the country can be taught, and confidentiality must be paid attention to. I have to discuss this matter with a military advisor. Chen Mou did not continue to make any comments. In fact, even if he didn't say it, Gerhofton knew the value of this magic formula and would definitely not spread it around. After living for so many years, he has a lot of life experience. By the way, I have another suggestion, that is, don't say that this thing was passed on by me. Chen Mou suddenly spoke again. He is not afraid of trouble, but he doesn't like trouble. Compared to passing on the secret formula and gaining credit and praise, Chen Mou prefers to make a fortune quietly and focus on development. When I cultivate to the realm of domain master, I can come out and beat everything. Money and fame are all false in front of strength. Even in the same realm, there are also differences in strength. If Chen Mou cultivates to the realm of domain master, the people of Qingyang domain are no different from chickens in his eyes. Gerhofton's mind turned, and he quickly understood what Chen Mou meant. Then I will discuss with a military advisor and let him pass on this secret formula. If Gerhofton passed on this profound secret formula, combined with the mysterious power that Chen Mou had shown before, people outside would easily associate it with Chen Mou. After all, they are all from Xinghe Academy. But if it was passed on by the military advisor, it would not be very suspicious. One of the three emperors, what's wrong with taking out some good things? Chen Mou agreed and said goodbye and left. In the next few days, Chen Mou did not run around, but quietly practiced in the dormitory and took care of his body. Chen Mou did not suffer any injuries, but the loss of his lifespan was extremely serious. A few white hairs grew out, making Chen Mou look a bit like a young man who stayed up late for a long time and lacked sleep. After recuperation, Chen Mou's spirit gradually recovered and his fighting power returned to the peak. However, it was difficult to make up for the half of his lifespan that had been lost. He could only continue to practice and break through. When his realm was deep, his lifespan would also be extended. In addition, Chen Mou was also very proficient in the eternal life secret and could gradually restore some of his lifespan, although the progress was extremely slow. In the past few days, in addition to practicing, Chen Mou was just teasing Xiaobei, watching cartoons with his baby daughter, and taking her to the cafeteria for a big meal. Chen Mou used to be very popular. After all, he frequently made some big troubles at that time, and he was still the first on the Xinghe list for a whole year, and his reputation was very high. However, as Chen Mou disappeared for a whole year in his junior year, the popularity also dropped. Some people even suspected that Chen Mou had skipped too many classes and simply dropped out of school. I don't know whether he was persuaded to drop out by the Xinghe school or he took the initiative to apply for withdrawal. Today's Xinghe list presents a new pattern. On the Xinghe list, He Teng and several other provincial champions frequently clashed, all wanting to compete for the first place. He Teng often sat at the top of the list, and his strength was extraordinary. But those provincial champions came up with a bad idea and launched a wield tactic. I challenge you today, and you follow me tomorrow. He Teng was a little overwhelmed by the continuous battles. After winning with difficulty, he did not fully recover the next day and was immediately knocked down. On the Xinghe list, Lin Sichen sat firmly at the top of the list, and Huang Fuze could only be ranked second. After all, Lin Sichen's realm as a law scholar was the best in the school. Even if she was not challenged or taken action, how could she be convinced if she was not put first? The world is changing, and it's a new era again. In the cafeteria, Chen Mou was a little emotional when he heard some freshmen enthusiastically discussing the matter of rushing to the list. In Xinghe, there are rankings, and in society, there are many more status considerations. As long as you are a human being, you can't avoid it. However, healthy competition helps to stimulate vitality, which is a good thing. Senior sister Lin is about to graduate and give up her position. Who can take the top spot on the Xinghe ranking? A freshman in loose training clothes discussed excitedly. Among the third-year students now, Su Dao is the strongest. When the fourth-year students graduate, he will naturally take over this position. I think it's hard to say. Chen Kai's physique is very peculiar. He can even resist Su Dao's sword energy with his flesh and blood. He is definitely not weaker than the other party in a fight. Haha, in fact, you all overlooked one person, that is Lin Chuanzuo. Lin Sichen was also very low-key at the beginning. Who knew that he would suddenly explode and soar into the sky? If Lin Chuanzuo breaks through to the level of a law scholar like Lin Sichen, No one can compete with him. That's impossible. Our Xinghe Academy has been established for hundreds of years, and we have never seen anyone who can reach the level of a law scholar before graduating from the 4th year. Senior Sister Lin is just an extremely special exception, and it won't appear continuously. Oh, I don't think anything is impossible. Black swan events occur one after another. Although the probability is small, it does exist, just like the recent stock market circuit breaker. Who would have thought that they would appear one after another? What are you talking about? A sophomore said with disdain. My brother Mu must have a name. When he returns to school, he will beat everyone. The ones you mentioned together are not enough to beat him. A freshman looked questioning. Are you talking about Chen Mou? When I first entered school, I often heard his name, but I never saw him take action. You are exaggerating. He was a little unconvinced. He might be strong, but how could it be possible to say that the others combined were not enough to beat him? Like the current Xia Oxing Huolbang, He Teng is strong enough, but he can't withstand a round-robin battle, let alone a group fight. Country bumpkin, ignorant. The sophomore laughed with a sense of superiority. How can people who have not experienced the Chen Mou era understand this kind of oppression? He even felt that Lin Sichen was not Chen Mou's opponent, but that was in the past. Now Lin Sichen has been promoted. Under the realm suppression, Chen Mou should have no way out. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 291. Graduation ceremony is about to begin. Dad, are they talking about you? Xiaobei said in a childish voice in the cafeteria. Well, maybe. Seeing that Xiaobei had finished all the food on the table, Chen Mou took out a tissue to wipe Xiaobei's mouth. Let's go. Chen Mou picked up Xiaobei and turned to leave. Now he is not very interested in the competition for the Xinghe ranking. The Xinghe ranking is definitely useful. It has stimulated the enthusiasm of students in the school to practice and has positive significance. But Chen Mou has long transcended this level and thinks that the Xinghe ranking is meaningless. After being promoted to law scholar, Chen Mou began to focus on national struggles and the general situation of the starry sky. Lin Sichen should have the same idea and does not intend to compete for anything on the Xinghe ranking, but her cultivation is too high. Even if she does not compete, she will be listed first. Chen Mou's current cultivation is enough to look down on students in the school, but on the battlefield, it can only be regarded as a mid-level combat force. I still need to work hard. This realm is not enough. I need to cultivate to the level of a saint at least. Only then can I be free and at ease. If I want to crush the people in Qingyang domain, I need to cultivate to the level of a domain master. Chen Mou thought in his heart. Time was spent in cultivation. Chen Mou stayed in Xinghe Academy and never returned to the research base. His research progress was relatively advanced in the entire project team. Although he had taken a long leave, he would not fall behind much. The only trouble was that after Chen Mou took a leave, other experts and professors could not discuss and exchange opinions with him anytime and anywhere. Xinghe Academy, graduation ceremony started. Chen Mou had watched the graduation ceremony in previous years, and this year was no exception. However, this year, his 3 roommates were busy, and only Chen Mou came alone. Next year it will be my turn. Chen Mou felt helpless. Time is not forgiving. Chen Mou came to the outside of the venue and found that many news media had already been in place, armed with long guns and short guns. They attached great importance to Xinghe's graduation ceremony every year, especially this year. According to gossip, this year's student representative is a beautiful woman, and her cultivation has reached the realm of a law scholar. These 2 points are full of topics. If reporters miss such reports, they are not worthy of this profession. Therefore, in order to compete for the qualification to report on Xinghe's graduation ceremony, the media have fought openly and secretly. As for the media, in order to win the quota to report on the scene, reporters have also used all their tricks. Chen Mou did not enter the venue, but just watched from a distance outside, but his arrival also attracted some attention. Around him were students who also came to watch the ceremony, from freshmen to juniors. In fact, many people have heard of Chen Mou's name, but they can't recognize him when they see him in person. Especially freshmen. Chen Mou has not returned to school for a whole year, so naturally there is no chance to meet him. After Chen Mou was no longer in school, Zheng Xianming didn't write many articles about him. That's Chen Mou. A junior student pointed with his hand, and he recognized Chen Mou. After all, the two were students in the same class. Brother, is he Chen Mou? He looks a bit ordinary, his aura is not obvious, and his mental state is not good. A freshman next to him was very disappointed. He had been following this junior brother for a year and had always heard him talk about Chen Mou's glorious deeds, but the reality was different from what he had imagined. The junior student was also a little confused. Chen Mou's mental state was actually not bad, and he was still high-spirited, but he no longer had the domineering aura he had in the past. There were a few strands of white hair on his head, which seemed a bit dazzling, like a hero in his twilight years. It's hard to say, said the junior student. Maybe Chen Mou has reached the state of returning to nature. The freshman was speechless. This senior brother was simply a crazy fan of Chen Mou. He was obviously in a bad state, but he could still be said to have returned to nature. Brother, what you said makes sense. The freshman disagreed in his heart, but he seemed to agree with it. The junior brother laughed. It seems that my judgment is correct. Brother Meng is here. The freshman tilted his head slightly and noticed the arrival of a person. Not far away, Meng Ziming walked slowly with the steps of a dragon and a tiger. He didn't release it deliberately, but everyone could feel the surging momentum on him. When he walked, he seemed to have a feeling of responding to the rhythm of heaven and earth. Not long ago, Meng Ziming had broken through to the realm of high-level miracle master. This progress is amazing. Even if he reached the high level of miracle master before graduating from the senior year, he could be called a genius among geniuses, and Meng Ziming is only a junior now. Meng Ziming. A deep fear flashed in the eyes of the junior brother. He was also a strong man among the juniors, but he was indeed far behind Meng Ziming. Senior brother Meng is really strong. I must work hard to practice and strive to have such strength in the future. A yearning flashed in the eyes of the freshman. The junior brother was a little unhappy when he heard this. He and Meng Ziming did not have a harmonious relationship. He snorted coldly and said, Meng Ziming is strong, but he is far behind Chen Mou. Impossible. The freshman shook his head, not quite believing it. He had watched several battles of Meng Ziming in the past year. When the miracle power came out, the sky shook, Meng Ziming controlled the thunder with his hands, like a god, and the opponent was embarrassed. Only those who were the provincial champions could compete with him. Chen Mou? Long time no see. Meng Ziming walked closer and suddenly found the figure of an acquaintance. Chen Mou's aura was dark and deep, as if hidden in the abyss, which made Meng Ziming's heart shudder. Long time no see, Xiao Bei, call me uncle. Chen Mou said to Xiao Bei. Although he and Meng Ziming had fought before, they were students of the same class after all, and later they became friends. Hello, Uncle Ziming. Xiao Bei smiled sweetly. She had met him several times before, and she remembered Meng Ziming's name. Xiao Bei is so cute, but why hasn't she grown up? Meng Ziming looked at Xiao Bei's cute appearance, and suddenly felt a little confused. Grow up. Xiao Bei frowned and fell into deep thought. When he grows up, he will go to school. It's better not to grow up. Chen Mou touched Xiao Bei's little head. Xiao Bei is picky about food and malnourished. I'm afraid he won't grow up. In fact, he had noticed Xiao Bei's situation a long time ago. He has been adopted for 3 years and it seems that he has not changed much. Maybe Xiao Bei is not a flesh and blood body, but a spirit of heaven and earth similar to a seagull. Chen Mou was a little bit unable to judge. His knowledge was not shallow, but he could not see through the fog on Xiao Bei. Xiao Bei pouted and was a little unhappy when he heard Chen Mou say that. How could he be considered picky about food? Those green vegetables were not delicious. It would be better to eat meat. By the way, Chen Mou, where have you been this year? Meng Ziming suddenly asked. Chen Mou shook his head. This matter must be kept confidential. Yes, keep it confidential. Xiao Bei also said, I signed a confidentiality agreement. Chapter 292? A kiss. Hearing Chen Mou say that he wanted to keep it a secret, Meng Ziming did not ask, but he was even more confused. Did he go to practice secretly? If so, Chen Mou's progress in practice would probably be faster than in Xinghua Academy. If the practice environment outside is not as good as Xinghua, Chen Mou would not stay for a year without coming back. You are so cruel. It seems that the first place in Xinghua list is yours again. Meng Ziming was a little helpless. Su Dao and Chen Kai are already tough enough, But Chen Mou is more difficult to deal with than the two of them combined. Meng Ziming was very upset. When can I really stand up? I have no intention of competing for the list. I have to leave school later. It's a pity that I didn't appreciate much of the beautiful and precious college time. Chen Mou sighed softly. College should be passionate and energetic, but even in the first 2 years at school, Chen Mou was immersed in practice every day. He didn't feel too much of the atmosphere of the university and only regarded it as a place for practice. In the future memory, although he didn't get admitted to Tsinghua Academy, he was very happy in college. Because at that time he didn't know the future and didn't have too much pressure. You're leaving again. Meng Ziming was stunned, and his desire to compete for the list suddenly cooled down. He felt that Chen Mou's ideological realm was different from theirs. Su Dao and Chen Kai often go on missions. It seems that I have to experience more during my senior year, and then strive to have a place in the starry sky battlefield. Meng Ziming secretly made up his mind and cast his eyes on the battlefield in the distance. Although the current war is relatively urgent, it is not really serious. If he doesn't want to go to the battlefield and just wants to stay in Huaki country for development, it's okay. The school will not force him to go to the battlefield. However, real men with ambitions often choose to go to the battlefield for training. Huaki country is located in the rear and is relatively stable, but it also has disadvantages. It is difficult to raise a real dragon. Without the experience of blood and fire, and the spiritual realm is not reached, it is probably not far to rely on talent and hard work. In the back, watching the two people talking and laughing, the freshman was a little surprised. In his impression, Meng Ziming has always been high and mighty, looking down on others. Maybe Meng Ziming didn't deliberately act arrogant, but his strength was there, and he was born in a big family, so other people would be a head shorter than him. But now, this freshman understands that Meng Ziming is also approachable. Because Chen Mou has the qualifications to talk to him on an equal footing. Moreover, Meng Ziming was a little timid. While the two chatted, the ceremony began. The host announced the first process, and the graduate representative spoke. Lin Sichen, wearing a graduation dress, slowly walked up to the podium. The dark-colored graduation dress could not cover her beauty, and she was extremely charming. The media reporters who came to watch the ceremony were shocked. This face was far better than many stars. But on second thought, it was not surprising. Cultivation is originally a process of gathering the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. Spiritual energy can nourish people. And the Zhuanzi's body refining is to optimize the body structure and eliminate impurities, and finally reach the state of being as clear as glass. Many cameras were aimed at Lin Sichen for live broadcast. Some reporters lamented that it would be a pity if she didn't become a star if she was so beautiful. But when they thought that this woman had reached the realm of a law scholar, they laughed at themselves again. Such a young law scholar's status was not comparable to that of a star. In fact, many stars at home and abroad practice cultivation on weekdays, and some even reach the realm of miracle masters. When they fight, they don't even need to add special effects in the later stage. However, it is rare for law scholars to become stars. It is even more impossible for a talent like Lin Sichen. She must be working towards the direction of a saint. A saint's words can make a film and television company close down directly. The influence is not comparable to that of a star. Lin Sichen began to express his feelings on the podium. The whole process was very calm, without any sense of tension. It was obvious that he was used to big scenes. The content was mainly to recall the good college days, express future expectations, affirm the school's teaching achievements, encourage junior brothers and sisters to continue to struggle, and sincerely invite college entrance examination candidates to apply for the excellent Tsinghua Academy. In short, it was comprehensive, but it seemed to be true and sincere, and not empty. Later, at the request of a media friend, Lin Sichen demonstrated the power of a law scholar, which shocked the audience. The audience in front of the TV and on the internet were even more shocked. Such a young law scholar was beyond everyone's imagination. Lin Sichen slowly left the stage, but the process continued. One after another, people went up to give speeches. Finally, Jerhafan also appeared, and the graduation ceremony slowly came to an end. Sister Chen. After the graduation ceremony, Lin Sichen walked out with a flow of people and saw Chen Mou waiting outside at a glance. Chen Mou, I didn't expect you to come. Lin Sichen was a little surprised. I heard that you are developing a project recently? But I don't know what the content is, and that research base is not allowed to enter casually. Yes. Chen Mou didn't say much about it. Sister Chen, I wish you a happy graduation and a bright future. Well, thank you. The two did not stand still, but walked and talked, which attracted a lot of attention along the way. Who is this person? He can actually walk side by side with Fairy Chen. Why does he look so familiar? I can't quite remember him. That must be Chen Mou, Fairy Chen's ambiguous object. His talent is not inferior to Fairy Chen. He once dominated the little star Hulbang for a whole year, but I don't know why he suddenly disappeared later, almost making people think that he had dropped out of school. Many people looked at him with some doubts. Chen Mou actually returned to the campus. This was big news. Could it be that he came specifically for Lin Sichen? Chen Mou, besides wishing me a happy graduation, do you have anything else to say to me? Lin Sichen suddenly asked. This. Chen Mou was silent. If he said no, it seemed that he had something, but if he said yes, it seemed that he didn't. I'm leaving school today. If you confess to me now, I can promise you. Lin Sichen said half jokingly and half seriously. Chen Mou stopped hearing this and looked at Lin Sichen. Lin Sichen bit her lip and tried to act as if she didn't care, but it could be seen that she was a little entangled. Chen Mou was silent for a while, and finally said slowly, yes, I like you, but I don't know if I can give you the ideal future. He felt that his heart was divided into several petals, everyone could get a little, but no one had enough. Well, that's enough. Lin Sichen suddenly came up, put her arms around Chen Mou's neck, and gave him a gentle kiss. I'm a little tired. I feel that my writing these days is just average. Chapter 293. That is so bad. Watching the two people's actions, Xiaobei beside them blinked his purple eyes. Is this a kiss? I want a kiss too. After the two separated, Xiaobei came up. Good girl, mommy kiss you. Lin Sichen picked up Xiaobei and kissed her on the cheek. Xiaobei giggled, Daddy wants a kiss too. Upon hearing this, Chen Mou kissed Xiaobei on the other cheek. Xiaobei narrowed his eyes with pleasure and hummed an unknown tune. After the graduation ceremony, it was almost noon, and the three went to the cafeteria and ordered a few dishes. Chen Mou and Lin Sichen did not sit opposite each other, but sat side by side on a long chair, with Xiaobei sandwiched between them. Lin Sichen took the chopsticks and tapped the plate lightly, a little absent-minded. The news of Chen Mou's shocking battle with Chu Xiaoxi was blocked, and even Lin Sichen was unaware of it. After the battle, Chu Xiaoxi disappeared inexplicably, but was noticed by some students of Mingdao University. But after they reported it to the school, they didn't get any response, so they thought Chu Xiaoxi might have gone out for training or a mission. Because they didn't know the specific situation, Lin Sichen identified the hesitation that Chen Mou had shown before as a factor of Chu Xiaoxi. Chu Xiaoxi is so talented that even Lin Sichen feels inferior to her. Chu Xiaoxi, a proud daughter of heaven, is unusually gentle to Chen Mou. If Chu Xiaoxi really wants it, give it to her. Lin Sichen thought so. She didn't intend to compete with Chu Xiaoxi for anything, nor did she want to share it with him. Sometimes, letting go is a better choice. Lin Sichen's idea is very strange. Before meeting Chen Mou, she had seen many young people with extremely high talents and powerful family backgrounds, but she didn't like any of them, so she planned to be single all her life, not get married, and not find a boyfriend. After meeting Chen Mou, Lin Sichen finally had a little feeling that if Chen Mou pursued her with all his strength, Lin Sichen might have gone on with him. But after vaguely hearing about the relationship between Chu Xiaoxi and Chen Mou, and her sister having an inexplicable feeling with Chen Mou, Lin Sichen changed her mind and prepared to keep her distance from Chen Mou. But if Chen Mou is willing to pursue her, Lin Sichen will choose to have a love affair with him that ends without success. The process is very sweet, but they will still break up in the end. Sister Chen, what are your plans after graduation? Chen Mou asked. Of course, I will go to the battlefield. Lin Sichen smiled slightly and answered without hesitation. Is that so? Chen Mou heard Lin Sichen's determination, and there was no fear in his words. Going to the battlefield is not just a simple sentence, it means risk, crisis, and the possibility of death. It is said that the battlefield can hone people and increase the possibility of realm promotion, but the risks are also huge. But Lin Sichen will not hesitate because of danger, in order to improve himself, but also to protect this country. This is the fate of the children of the Hall of Fame family. After dinner, the two took Xiaobei and walked into the campus. Looking at the scenery of Xinhua, Lin Sichen was a little reluctant. After graduation, there would not be many days when he could return to Xinhua for a leisurely stroll. Chen Mou, come with me. Lin Sichen changed direction and took the two to the Xinhua business district and came to a luxury apartment. This is not a hotel, but a private residence. Because of its location, the price is not cheap. The three of them took the ladder to the 6th floor, and Lin Sichen opened the door of one of the houses. This house is mine. I will stay here occasionally. After entering, Lin Sichen took off his shoes and socks and put on slippers. His toes were shining white. Chen Mou and Xiaobei also changed into slippers. Sister Chen, this. Chen Mou swallowed his saliva and guessed the intention of Lin Sichen to bring him here. Why, don't you like it? Lin Sichen smiled, and was rarely playful. Is it too fast? Chen Mou muttered. I didn't say that. Lin Sichen said. Xiaobei, watch cartoons here first. Lin Sichen took Xiaobei into one of the rooms and turned on the computer. Oh, okay. Xiaobei didn't expect Lin Sichen to take her to watch cartoons. She was happy all of a sudden. Mom is so nice. After a few clicks of the mouse and keyboard, Xiaobei opened Metal War Dragon on the web page. Come here. Lin Sichen pulled Chen Mou and quietly went to another room. What's going on? Not long after, Xiaobei tilted his ears. Although there was a layer of law barrier to isolate the sound, Xiaobei still heard the conversation in the next room effortlessly. Chen Mou, be gentle, it hurts. Lin Sichen's voice seemed a little painful. Dad is so bad, he actually bullied Mom. Xiaobei was about to run over to administer justice, but Metal War Dragon was playing on the screen at the exciting part, and Xiaobei was a little reluctant. I really thought too much? Dad is such a good person, how could he bully Mom? Xiaobei slapped his head and continued to sit down steadily. 2 hours later, Lin Sichen was dressed and his face was a little flushed. Chen Mou, you've gone too far. Lin Sichen pushed Chen Mou's chest. What? Chen Mou was speechless. Is there anything wrong with my hard work? Chen Mou came closer, put his arms around Lin Sichen's waist, and kissed her fair and slender neck. Lin Sichen lay in Chen Mou's arms for a while, then slowly said, Chen Mou, let's break up. Chen Mou. Otherwise, why do they say that women's hearts are as deep as the sea? Chen Mou has a slightly low EQ and really can't understand their thoughts. Lin Sichen smiled and said, I'm not saying this angrily. In fact, I didn't plan to be with you forever from the beginning. My sister Chuanzuo and Chu Xiaoxi both have a good impression of you. You can choose one of them according to your idea. I won't interfere. As for me, I just want to try the taste of falling in love. It seems quite sweet. Can't I have both? Chen Mou said. Lin Sichen was so angry that she laughed. Chen Mou, I always thought you were very honest and simple, but I didn't expect you to be so ambitious. Chen Mou shook his head. You have to fight for happiness by yourself. You have so many twisted ideas. It's okay, I don't agree to break up anyway. Lin Sichen insisted on breaking up again and again, but Chen Mou refused and coaxed her again and again. Finally, Lin Sichen could only say, then you can find a way to deal with Chu Xiaoxi and Chuanzuo yourself. As for me, you can come to comfort me when I am sad, and you can encourage me when I encounter difficulties. You should stay away from me at other times. Chen Mou scratched his head. Is he using me as a tool? By the way, Sister Chen, I have a set of skills to pass on to you. Chen Mou said. What skills? Lin Sichen shook her head. Forget it, we have broken up, you can keep the skills yourself. Don't get me wrong, even if what happened just now didn't happen, I was going to pass it on to you, but after you learn this skill, you can only pass it on to Chuanzuo, don't pass it on anymore. Chen Mou's tone became serious. Chapter 294 Haiyan Jue Material Research. After asking Lin Sichen to swear an oath not to reveal the technique, Chen Mou passed on the sea swallow technique to Lin Sichen with a sweep of his spiritual sense. As the Lord of Storms, he could pass on this technique to anyone he wanted, but he could not pass on the Order Divine Code and the Vacuum Fluctuation Technique. Lin Sichen closed his eyes and felt it for a while, then opened his eyes with shock in his eyes. The level of this technique is too high, Chen Mou, you. Although it was only a short period of perception and he did not fully understand it, he could already feel the wonder of it. Chen Mou said, you don't need to ask too much. After going to the battlefield, take care of yourself. The war will eventually pass and Wiki will win. You can pass the skills to Chuanzuo later, but you have to let her swear. This skill is of great importance and cannot be passed on lightly. Lin Sichen narrowed his eyes. Don't you pass it on yourself? This is a good opportunity to get closer. Forget about me. Chen Mou and Lin Chuanzhou are actually just friends now. Although there is a little affection, it is relatively weak. He doesn't necessarily have to provoke each other. Okay, I'll say it's a gift from you to her. Lin Sichen lay in Chen Mou's arms and shrugged. The two got up and walked to the next room. Xiaobei was watching cartoons intently. Dad, Mom, you are here. Xiaobei raised his head and asked in confusion, Dad, did you bully Mom just now? No. The two blushed a little and united together. After Chen Mou said goodbye to Lin Sichen, he continued to walk on the campus with Xiaobei. Suddenly, someone came up to him and said, Boss. Chen Mou looked over and found that it was Haiyan Jue, a man who once wanted to be his younger brother but failed in the end. Boss, I'm here to say goodbye to you. I'm graduating this year and will go to the battlefield to gain experience later. Haiyan Jue said. He has now cultivated to the middle stage of the Miracle Master, which is neither high nor low. This level cannot gallop and kill enemies on the battlefield, but it is still possible to do logistics work. Come on. Chen Mou patted Haiyan Jue on the shoulder. Yes, boss. Haiyan Jue became excited. It seems that the boss still recognizes me. After saying goodbye, Haiyan Jue was about to leave when Chen Mou suddenly called him. It's fate that we met. So, I will teach you a technique. Chen Mou moved his consciousness and passed on a technique called Haiyan Volume. This technique, naturally, cannot be compared with the Sea Swallow secret, nor can it compare with the Changsheng secret. Among the many classics collected by Chen Mou, it is relatively ordinary. But Chen Mou will be the supreme of the universe in the future. In the future, he thinks that ordinary things will still be top-level techniques in Huaki country. Chen Mou also heard that Haiyan Jue was going to the battlefield to serve the country, so he decided to spread it. If he chose to stay in the country and use the cultivation of a miracle master to muddle through and enjoy life, Chen Mou would not pass it on. Haiyan Jue carefully comprehended it and was very surprised. Thank you, boss. Stop, I didn't say I want to be your boss. Chen Mou waved his hand and left. The graduation ceremony is at the end of June, and the summer vacation starts on July 15th. It's still early now. Chen Mou continued to stay in school for a few days and met with some friends. During this period, Chen Mou passed a Haiyan Volume to Wen Jun's and Yi's Haich. Although the blue flame scroll is powerful, it will not attract too much attention. As for the eternal life secret, it depends on their future performance. This skill was arranged by the military advisor and others, and Chen Mou did not want to teach it himself. He wanted to pass on the Sea Swallow secret to the two girls of the Lin family, but he only passed on the blue flame scroll to his roommate. Chen Mou felt a little ashamed of the different treatment. But there was nothing he could do. Maybe this is what men are like. Su Dao and Chen Kai were not in the school, so Chen Mou wanted to meet them but failed. Chen Mou once passed on a copy of the Righteous Key secret to Chen Kai. Su Dao didn't think he needed the skills that Chen Mou taught. Chen Mou also met Zhang Xiaotong and Yan Huil by chance. They had a meal together, but he didn't teach them anything. First, it was still early for them to graduate, and second, Chen Mou and Yan Huil were just ordinary friends, not very familiar. As for Zhang Xiaotong, if Zhang Xingtang was willing, he could teach Zhang Xiaotong the eternal life secret, and Chen Mou would not object. After meeting with all his friends and saying goodbye, Chen Mou left school and returned to the Mecha research base. He had been away for many days, but the progress was not much behind. After 2 days of overtime, he caught up with the progress. Then Chen Mou resumed his life of working 4 or 5 hours a day and practicing the rest of the time. The research progress of Haiyan Mecha was slower than Chen Mou had imagined. If the volume was not limited, it would not be too difficult to combine antimatter bombing and space strike technology in a super-large war weapon. But it is an extremely challenging task to gather them in one mecha, ensure flexibility, and prevent the mecha from being scrapped due to overload. In the design drawing of Haiyan Mecha, the body is about 3 meters high, equivalent to the height of a floor. Half a year later, Chen Mou finally built the energy engine and adapted it to all aspects, but this is still not the final version, and there is still some fine-tuning work to do later. Then Chen Mou joined the research work on the material of the mecha body. The mecha body is made of alloy material and is made by special manufacturing process. This material is very expensive, and the body material of the same quality is many times more expensive than gold. However, its various performance indicators still cannot meet the production requirements of Haiyan Jue. The more Chen Mou studied, the more worried he became. In his future memories, he was not a great scientist. Although he knew a lot, he could not come up with a good idea for a while. There were also reasons for the limitations of the conditions of Zijixing itself. The several craft production methods that Chen Mou came up with could not meet the conditions here at the research base. Or it can be said that the entire Zijixing civilization could not meet such conditions, and the civilization level had not yet reached it. Chen Mou also understood this and simply did not mention these methods. It was when Yudang who brought a turning point. After he got the venom particles given to him by Li Xingming, he immediately began to study in depth. At first, he studied radiotoxicity and thought about poisoning the people in Qingyang territory all day long. Later, he found that this was not very realistic. So when Yudang turned to study other aspects, when Yudang found that after the particle decayed, it turned into another element, and the radiotoxicity was greatly reduced. The new element was mixed with some existing elements on Zijixing to produce a material that was very strong and tough. When Yudang's team continued to study and found a way to mass-produce new elements, Lin Tanghuang got the news and contacted Wen Yudang to let him join the Haiyan Jue research team. It barely meets the requirements, Chen Mou thought, but if it is improved, the data parameters should be better. Chen Mou and Wen Yudang, as well as some material experts in the team, continued to conduct research on material processing improvements. Although the new element can be mass-produced, the output is also a problem, and the method needs to be improved to achieve the effect of large-scale production. Chapter 295 Graduation 3024 June. Chen Mou asked for leave from the research base again and returned to Xinghua Academy. The same road, the same building, Chen Mou walked here, but he had some different thoughts. The faces coming and going have also changed a lot. The freshmen are full of energy, rushing around. Chen Mou can easily recognize them from their enthusiastic smiles and the different colors of school uniforms. How did I go from a freshman to a senior? Chen Mou sighed a little, ran into the store on campus, and bought a bottle of wine. He usually doesn't like to drink, but at this moment he suddenly wanted to try a few sips. A bottle of wine cost Chen Mou 2,000 yuan. This price is not expensive, because the materials used to make wine are special, the taste is good, and the intensity is very high. Even a Zhuans may get drunk. But it is only for ordinary Zhuans, a law scholar like Chen Mou, who can't be hit by thunder and lightning, and it is impossible to get drunk with a bottle of wine. Chen Mou broke the cork and drank directly from the bottle. PFFT, it's really hard to drink. You still want to drown your sorrows in wine? Forget it. Chen Mou didn't like the fine wine that others talked about. He just put the cap back on and threw it into a trash can next to him. Brother, you threw it away after just taking a sip? What a waste. A pretty girl next to him frowned when she saw this. Chen Mou hesitated. This wine is really hard to drink. But it's quite expensive. How can you throw it away? What a waste of money. The pretty girl insisted. Hu Qing, don't mind your own business. A tall woman wearing high heels and with a slightly cold face came over. Minister Zhang, but this. The pretty girl Hu Qing looked puzzled. No buts, this wine was bought by my brother, right? He can throw it away if he wants to. How can we be nosy? And he took a sip. Even if he doesn't throw it away, he can't give it away. Minister Zhang said. After teaching Hu Qing a lesson, Minister Zhang said to Chen Mou with an apologetic look on his face, my senior brother, I'm sorry, Hu Qing is ignorant and disturbed you. Chen Mou didn't expect that the other party would find so many excuses for him before he even opened his mouth. He waved his hand and said, it's okay, I was a little wasteful, sorry. Then he turned and left. The woman whose full name is Hu Qing looked at Chen Mou's leaving back and stamped her feet. Minister Zhang, we are members of the student union. Didn't you teach me that if I see some unreasonable phenomena in the school, I should correct them? The woman in front of him was a minister of the propaganda department of the student union, named Zhang Jingchen. Hearing this, she rolled her eyes. That also depends on the person, understand. Our student union is very powerful in the eyes of ordinary students, but in the eyes of senior students, it is just a younger brother. They are about to graduate, so how can they give us face? Minister Zhang, how do you know he is a senior? Hu Qing asked in confusion. This senior brother is obviously not used to drinking. He threw it away after taking a sip. Why would a person who doesn't usually drink suddenly want to buy a bottle of wine? He must be in a bad mood, so I guess he is about to graduate and is drinking to drown his sorrows. Zhang Jingchang spoke slowly and analyzed in detail. Mu Huiqing was amazed. Minister Zhang, you can analyze so much from simple details, it's amazing. I think this senior brother must have been wasting his time on campus all day, accomplishing nothing, and regretted it when he was about to graduate. Although our students from Xinghua Academy will never worry about finding a job after graduation, if they don't have real skills, they may not be able to find a good job. I can't be like this senior brother. Mu Huiqing imitated Zhang Jingchang and analyzed. Zhang Jingchang smiled. I didn't expect you to be a master of analysis as well, but this senior brother seems a little familiar. Zhang Jingchang thought about it, but he really couldn't remember it, so he gave up and said to Mu Huiqing, come with me now, the president has called us over to help set up the venue for the graduation ceremony. Oh, okay. Mu Huiqing agreed immediately. Chen Mou took Xiaobei back to the dormitory. The next day, it was time for the graduation ceremony. Let Xiaobei stay in the dormitory and watch some cartoons, while Chen Mou put on the academic dress issued by the school and came to the venue of the graduation ceremony. According to the location of the venue, Chen Mou came to the area of Class 5. In previous years, Chen Mou was outside the venue, using his eyesight to watch from a distance, but this year he sat inside the venue. At this time, he finally saw his head teacher Du Zhengde again. Teacher Du. Chen Mou greeted Du Zhengde. It's Chen Mou, time flies, you are about to graduate, come and sit down. Du Zhengde patted Chen Mou on the shoulder. Chen Mou recalled the time when he mistook Du Zhengde for his senior because he looked too young. Du Zhengde also recalled this, and the two smiled at each other. At that time, Du Zhengde was already in his 40s, and now he is probably close to 50. Du Zhengde looked much older, like a middle-aged man. Chen Mou thought that Du Zhengde might have deliberately made his face more mature because he was often mistaken. Otherwise, even after 4 years, his appearance would not have changed so much. Chen Mou sat down and waited for the ceremony to begin. Students from Class 5 came one after another. Su Dao, Wang Jun's, He's Haij, Song Lin, Su Zhuan, Su Yunin, and other familiar faces attended the ceremony. Everyone greeted each other and then quieted down. It was not appropriate to make too much noise in the venue. Minister, I saw that senior again. Mu Huiqing pointed to the distance in the venue. She was a member of the student union. Although she was still a freshman, she could enter the venue, mainly to maintain order. Zhang Jingchang looked in the direction pointed by Mu Huiqing, and indeed saw Chen Mou. At this time, Chen Mou leaned on the back of his seat, with a melancholy look on his face and a bad spirit. Zhang Jingchang looked at him for a few times, but didn't pay much attention to him. He continued to observe the surroundings, maintain order, and cooperate with the media. The ceremony began soon. A pretty girl slowly stepped onto the podium. She had a round face and exuded a youthful atmosphere, which made people unconsciously think of the girl next door. The media reporter who came here to report began to read the script. Dear audience, the current session is the speech of the outstanding graduate representative. The graduate representative who appeared is Lin Chuanzhou, and his cultivation is the realm of the law scholar. He couldn't help but stutter as he read it. This is very inappropriate for a reporter, but looking at the girl next door on the podium who was full of youth, he couldn't connect her with the lofty and majestic law scholar. It's a bit outrageous. Chapter 296, One Finger Reverses the Universe. Although it was a little unbelievable, the information provided by Xinghua Academy would not lie. In addition, Xinghua had a graduate who reached the level of a law scholar last year, so it would not be surprising to have another one this year. The reporters calmed down and continued to explain. Jehufton considered Chen Mou as the candidate for the graduate representative, but after thinking about it, he decided not to. Chen Mou skipped classes every day, which was simply a bad lesson for the children. Chen Mou has been away from school for the past 2 years, so it is difficult to convince the public to let him be the graduate representative. Although Jehufton knew that Chen Mou was studying mechas and serving the country, others did not know. This matter is confidential and cannot be disclosed. Lin Chuanzhou used to be a study committee member, never missed classes, and had a high level of cultivation. It is undoubtedly very appropriate to choose her as a graduate representative. On the podium, Lin Chuanzhou began to give a speech. The content was quite standard, mainly persuading people to study and make progress. The audience in front of the screen, looking at Lin Chuanzuo's youthful and lovely face, doubted their lives for a while. For 2 consecutive years, there have been graduates who broke through to the level of law scholars. Is this the world of the strong? For ordinary people, being able to break through to the beginner level and become a mysterious person is something worth showing off. The reporters did not reveal much information, but a post popped up online, pointing out that last year's graduate representative and this year's graduate representative are a pair of sisters. Both of them are from a large family in Huaki country. As for which family, the poster did not reveal it. Ordinary people don't know, but some bosses at a higher level know it well. The Lin family of Qing province, a super family that has been low-key for many years, once again shocked the world. A young man in the family is enough to turn the world upside down and run rampant in their city. How can this not be frightening? Fortunately, these families are still disciplined and will not mess around. Lin Chuan bowed and left, and the graduation ceremony process continued. Time passed, and as Jehefeng finished his speech, the graduation ceremony came to an end. After the graduates bowed to their teachers and parents, they began to disperse in an orderly manner. Chen Mou, Lin Chuanzuo waved to Chen Mou when they arrived outside the venue. Isn't the project you participated in finished yet? I haven't seen you in school recently, and I can't find you to play with me. It's not finished yet, this thing is a bit complicated. Chen Mou shrugged. The design of the Haiyan Mecha is to make its combat power comparable to that of a saint in the end. How can this be done easily? Lin Chuanzuo's face was a little depressed. Speaking of which, it was me who took you there. I should have known not to take you to see my grandfather. Forget it, there's no point in saying this. We've all graduated. Yes, we've graduated. Chen Mou's thoughts flew. We'll meet again in the future. Yes. Lin Chuanzuo stretched out her white and tender little hand and signaled with her eyes. Chen Mou stretched out her hand and shook it gently with her. Warm, cool and smooth, this is the touch of Chen Mou, as if he was holding a piece of beautiful jade. I'm leaving first. I'm very happy to have met you in my youth. Lin Chuanzuo waved his hand and said goodbye to Chen Mou. Looking at Lin Chuanzuo's departing figure, Chen Mou was about to leave and return to the dormitory, but a voice came from behind him. Chen Mou, wait. Looking back, the person who came was Sita Bin. What's the matter? Chen Mou was puzzled. It's okay for Lin Chuanzuo to stop me, but I don't seem to know you very well. I want to challenge you. Sita Bin said resolutely. Sita Bin once wanted to challenge Chen Mou and even got a letter of challenge. But at that time, Chen Mou broke through to the realm of Miracle Master and was unstoppable. The younger brothers who went to deliver the letter were so scared that they didn't dare to mention it at all. After the younger brothers came back, Sita Bin could only remain silent. In the sophomore year, Chen Mou even occupied the top spot of Zaya Oxingho for a whole year, and no one could shake his position. Sita Bin didn't dare to challenge him at that time. Later, during the junior and senior years, Chen Mou seemed to have disappeared, and Sita Bin couldn't find him. Today, Sita Bin finally waited for this opportunity. He must challenge Chen Mou. Chen Mou has become like a demon in his heart. Whether he can win or not, this battle must be fought. Regardless of winning or losing, the courage to challenge cannot be extinguished. You want to challenge me? Chen Mou's expression seemed to be smiling. He also thought of the reason for the other party's challenge, but he was not sure. The confrontation between the two attracted a lot of attention. Isn't that Sita Bin? He has a conflict with a man on the opposite side. Good guy, he just graduated and staged a full-scale fight. Being targeted by Sita Bin, the man on the opposite side is miserable. Bullshit, do you know who the man on the opposite side is? This is Chen Mou, a person who suppressed Sita Bin for 2 years. Sita Bin wants to get back at him today, but I guess he will still be beaten. At this time, Mu Huqing and Zhang Jingchang also walked out of the venue. Seeing the confrontation between the two, they couldn't help but be slightly stunned. It's senior brother Situ. Mu Huqing has heard of Sita Bin's reputation many times, and has seen the other party's actions several times. The strength of a high-level miracle master can sweep everything. But why is he confronting that senior brother who is obviously not doing well? Time and place. Chen Mou finally spoke. He decided to satisfy Sita Bin's wish. Right now, a battle in the sky. Sita Bin didn't want to wait any longer. He was afraid that Chen Mou would pack up and leave. Okay. Chen Mou's figure gradually floated into the air. Sita Bin followed him into the air. This senior brother is quite capable. Mou Huiking looked at the scene in the sky. Being able to walk in the air meant that he was at least a miracle master. This level of cultivation was not too bad among the graduates. Zhang Jingchang frowned and thought in his heart. Above the sky, Sitabin's face was solemn. Chen Mou's aura was not obvious, but he felt an extreme threat. He might lose this battle, but Sitabin was determined not to retreat. The wind and cloud surged, and the sky darkened. Miracle masters can already control the celestial phenomena of a region. People like Sitabin are the top masters among miracle masters. Electric snakes swam among the dark clouds, and Sitabin's aura began to soar. Brother Situ is so strong. Mou Huiking felt a breath and his body trembled slightly. This is the pressure between heaven and earth. Miracle masters can use the power of heaven and earth to draw energy from all directions. Sitabin is worthy of his reputation. I'm afraid he has reached the peak of miracle masters. If he practices hard for a while, he may be able to enter the realm of lost scholars. On the ground, the students watching the battle looked up at the sky with some emotion. The electric snakes gathered into a dragon, and the power enveloped the entire sky. Sitabin's body suddenly rose up and killed Chen Mou, wrapped in endless thunder. The speed was so fast that it was almost equivalent to teleportation. People could only catch a few after images with the naked eye. In a flash, Sitabin had arrived in front of Chen Mou, and the distance between the two was less than 1 meter. Chen Mou, who had not moved, suddenly stretched out his finger and flicked it lightly. The thunder in the sky exploded, and Sitabin flew back and spit out blood. One finger reverses the universe. Chapter 297 Leaving School. Just by moving one finger, he defeated a genius who was at the high level of miracle master. What realm is this? Countless people looked up at the sky shock. Zhang Jingcheng's face changed drastically, and he blurted out, "So, he is that one." Mou Huiking was a little dazed, and asked unconsciously, "Who is it?" Legend has it that he suppressed the entire class of students with his own strength, and even faced the senior brothers. He was not afraid at all. At that time, he was a more dazzling existence than senior sister Lin Xuanzhou, but later he disappeared for 2 years for some reason. His senior brother Chen Mou. Zhang Jingchang muttered to himself. She had not seen Chen Mou's power, but she could get a glimpse of it from the rumors. Su Dao, Chen Kai, Sitabin and others who were extremely talented could not challenge Chen Mou's position at that time. Lin Xuanzhou did not like to compete for the list, but her realm breakthrough was very fast. However, according to the president, Chen Mou's breakthrough speed was even faster than Lin Xuanzhou. Once as brilliant as a star, it eventually extinguished all the light and heat and became obscure. Now he finally showed his might again. Several reporters came out of the venue with cameras and happened to take a picture of the scene in the sky. Unfortunately, the distance was too far and there was interference from the electric light, so they couldn't take a clear picture of the two people above. I thought about waiting for the people above to land and take a high-definition close-up, but after Chen Mou's attack, his figure dissipated like light smoke, leaving only a vague word. I don't mean to fight bitterly. Sitabin's figure fell to the ground, blood oozing from the corner of his mouth, and he looked a little embarrassed. Is this your strength? Sitabin was defeated miserably, but he smiled. At least I have the courage to fight. After the ceremony, Chen Mou went to get his graduation certificate and degree certificate. Back in the dormitory, Chen Mou began to pack his luggage. When he came, Chen Mou had nothing and traveled lightly, but after 4 years, he had accumulated a lot of things. Chen Mou packed all these things and sent them back home by express. After staying in the dormitory and resting for a night, Chen Mou got up early the next day. Su Dao, Wang Jun's, his Haija and others also got up one after another, and the 4 of them gathered in the hall of the dormitory apartment. They looked at each other, and thousands of words choked in their throats, and finally turned into one sentence, "Let's go, take care." The 4 of them put on their backpacks and left one after another, going their separate ways. Chen Mou held Xiao Bei's hand and walked on the campus. He walked slowly, not in a hurry to get on the road. In this last part of the journey, Chen Mou hoped to take a few more glances at the campus scenery of Xinghua Academy. After a long journey, Chen Mou came to the main gate of the school. That day, he entered Xinghua from this gate, and today, he walked out of this gate again. After walking out of the gate, Chen Mou looked back and thought of the oath he made that day. 2 years of fame in Xinghua, 4 years of reputation in China, and 10 years later, to promote the prestige of the country. Chen Mou has achieved the 2-year fame in Xinghua, but the 40-year reputation in China is far from it. Chen Mou does have some fame in China, but it is still far from being famous throughout the country. It's just youthful recklessness after all. Chen Mou shook his head and pulled Xiaobei to continue walking. With his current talent and strength, it would not be difficult to make a big noise and become famous throughout the country. However, there was no need for this. After leaving the campus, Chen Mou continued to walk slowly with Xiaobei. Xiaobei actually had a lot of strength. After walking for so long, she didn't feel tired at all. It was at noon that she yelled that she was hungry and asked Chen Mou to take her to a big meal. After lunch, the two continued to move forward. Life in this city is really peaceful and harmonious. This is all learned by the bloody battles of the frontline soldiers. Chen Mou looked at the people coming and going, and felt a little emotional. The soldiers in the front were fighting desperately, and the people in the country were also sticking to their respective posts, creating stable economic and material conditions, and continuously transporting them to the starry sky. The two actually complement each other. The soldiers in the front are noble, but as long as the people in the back do their jobs well, they can also do their part for the society and have their own contributions. This peaceful and comfortable life is worth our best efforts to protect. Chen Mou's thoughts were flying. He handed over the eternal life secret for this reason. If it weren't for the soldiers in the front, Chen Mou would not have had a peaceful life for many years, let alone the time to practice peacefully in Xinghua Academy. Sometimes, defending the country is to protect the home. If the country is destroyed, where is the home? The two walked to the high-speed rail station, bought 2 tickets, and got into the carriage. The high-speed train accelerated steadily, and the scenery by the window whizzed by. Xiaobei, are you tired? Chen Mou held Xiaobei's little hand and shook it gently. Dad, I'm not tired, tell me a story. Xiaobei leaned on Chen Mou's thigh and lay down comfortably. Tell stories again, I'm almost emptying my stories for you. Chen Mou was a little worried. I'll sing a song for you. Okay. Xiaobei said. Youth is like a rushing river, it goes away and never comes back, and there's no time to say goodbye. Chen Mou hummed, singing a little out of tune, but Xiaobei seemed to be listening very attentively. Dad sings really well. Xiaobei clapped his hands. Not long after he finished singing, a ding-dong reminder sounded, and Chen Mou took out his phone and saw that it was a private message from the Zhuan's exchange network. The person who sent the message was Haiyan, and Chen Mou set a special attention to him. The big boss sent me a message? Let me see. Chen Mou clicked it. Haiyan, military advisor, I'm a little distressed recently. Dog-headed military advisor 1, I'm a little distressed too. On the other side of the screen, Lin Chuanzuo was a little surprised. He didn't expect dog-headed military advisor to recover so quickly. But, would a big man like him also be distressed? It seems that it's not easy for anyone. Before Lin Chuanzuo could figure it out, the other party's message continued to come. What's the matter? Haiyan, actually, it's like this. I encountered some things recently, but I'm embarrassed to talk to my friends around me, so I thought about communicating with you. Chen Mou understood that this is a situation that many people have. There are some things that they cannot say to people around them, but on the internet, there is no such concern. Anyway, the other party does not know who you are. Dog-headed military advisor 1, please speak. Haiyan, I fell in love with someone, and originally wanted to confess to the other party, but in the end, I still did not have the courage to say it. Haiyan, I feel that I have been so cowardly since I was a child. Even though I have recently cultivated to the realm of a scholar of the law, my mentality is still that of a weak person, and I have not become stronger at all. Haiyan, military advisor, what do you think of me? Haiyan kept chattering and sent several messages in a row. Chen Mou on the other side, however, had a face full of question marks. Does the other party think I am an emotional master? But I don't understand love either. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 298, News of the Guest Coming from Yoon. Chen Mou looked at the series of words on the screen and fell into deep thought. In his mind, he began to analyze and gradually emerged such a scene. From Haiyan's words, Chen Mou could get a message that the other party had actually broken through to the realm of Law Scholar. He vaguely remembered that 3 years ago, Haiyan Jue asked him a question, how to break through to Miracle Master? In 3 years, Haiyan Jue has entered the realm of Law Scholar from the high stage of Miracle Apprentice. This is simply a genius among geniuses. It's just a little bit worse than me. Chen Mou thought so, not bragging. The skills he practiced were top-notch, and he had the practice experience in his mind. He would never take detours in the practice. Even so, he was only a little faster than Haiyan Jue. This big boss is so powerful. It can be said that this kind of talent is much stronger than many Xinghu students. Starting from this point, Chen Mou thought of another question: why did Haiyan Jue practice so frantically recently? Maybe, just 3 years ago, Haiyan Jue fell in love with a woman. This woman was extremely beautiful, and she could make a city fall in love with her at first sight, and then a country fall in love with her again. Unfortunately, the other party already had someone in mind. So Haiyan Jue wanted to break through and prove himself. However, even after breaking through to the realm of Miracle Master and having considerable wealth, Haiyan Jue still did not have the courage to confess. In this way, Haiyan Jue was entangled in his heart and full of worries. Another 3 years passed, and during these 3 years, Haiyan Jue spent all his time in cultivation. Finally, Haiyan Jue broke through to the realm of Law Scholar. In Huaki country, no matter where, a law scholar can be regarded as a figure. The strong strength gave Haiyan Jue enough confidence, and he finally made up his mind to confess. However, the moment he saw the woman, he was speechless. This is too miserable. Chen Mou shook his head and sighed in his heart. Is this considered a dog licker? Maybe, maybe not. A dog licker keeps licking, but in the end he does not get any reward, and gives out his enthusiasm in vain, while Haiyan Jue just suppresses the emotions in his heart and dares not express them. Chen Mou tapped the edge of the chair gently, thinking about how to answer. You asked me what to do, how do I know what to do? I am also very entangled in my feelings. On the other side, after Lin Chuanzuo sent a message, he waited expectantly for the reply from the dog-headed military advisor. Unfortunately, there was no movement in the dialogue box. After talking, Lin Chuanzuo regretted it a little, feeling that he had made a fool of himself by the dog-headed military advisor. But at the same time, he was relieved, otherwise it would be really uncomfortable to keep things in his heart. It's okay, the military advisor doesn't know me anyway. Chen Mou is still thinking, should I encourage him to confess bravely? But his behavior is only one step away from being a dog licker. After I encourage him to confess, if he succeeds, everyone will be happy. If he fails, it will also cut off his thoughts. The most feared thing is that the other party will hang him and not give a clear reply. No, you can't give random advice. I'm not an emotional master. Chen Mou tapped the soft keyboard a few times. Dog-headed military advisor 1, let it be. Lin Chuanzuo waited and waited, and finally got the reply from the dog-headed military advisor, but it was only 4 short words, which seemed unfathomable. Haiyan Jue, military advisor, are you saying that it is useless to worry, and some things cannot be forced? If the time is right, the result will come naturally? Lin Chuanzuo felt that he understood. Although it was only 4 short words, he felt that he followed the way of heaven and looked up to the mountains. The other party is worthy of being a saint, and his knowledge is even deeper than that of ordinary saints. Chen Mou. He did not continue to reply. Maybe that's what he meant. Who knows? The more you say, the more mistakes you make. I'd better not mislead others. Haiyan Jue, thank you, military advisor, I understand. Chen Mou didn't know what he understood, but he thought that it was good to understand. The other party did not continue to send messages, so Chen Mou also turned off the app of the Zhuan's exchange network. The high-speed train arrived at the station and Chen Mou returned home. Both parents resigned for a while and began to concentrate on cultivation. The realm of the two broke through to the high level of miracle apprentices. In the cultivation environment of Yonghui City, it is remarkable to have such progress. On the one hand, the two of them practiced the secret of immortality, which is a top-level technique. On the other hand, they had drunk the tears of the galaxy, which greatly improved their aptitude. Although both of them are over 40 years old, their cultivation talent at this time is much higher than that of many young people. If they want to make further progress and reach the realm of Miracle Master, they will need some time to slowly grind their realm. The realm of Miracle Master, who can control wind and thunder with his hands and communicate with the world, is not so easy to break through. However, in Yonghui City, a high-level miracle apprentice can also be called a local figure. Son, you have graduated too. When will you bring us a grandchild and granddaughter so that we can enjoy the joy of family life? Your father and I have resigned, and we are very bored recently. When Tan Ziyuan saw Chen Mou coming back, the first sentence she asked was like this, which made Chen Mou a little overwhelmed. It's still early, what child do you want? You want to take care of your granddaughter, didn't I bring Xiaobei back? Chen Mou said hesitantly. Tan Ziyuan picked up Xiaobei and gave him a kiss. Xiaobei is a very well-behaved child. By the way, I won't ask you about your child for now. Have you found a girlfriend? Chen Mou. You don't even know if I have a girlfriend, but you asked me for a child? I think so. Chen Mou hesitated. Does the goddess of order count? But she seemed to have slipped away and ran to the central galaxy. Does Lin Sichen count? But she yelled that she wanted to break up with her. Tan Ziyuan was delighted. Which girl? Is she the one who sent you back after the college entrance examination? What was her name? Yes, it seems to be Chu Xiaoxi. Chen Jianai also cast a concerned look. Do you still remember? Chen Mou's face was a little sad. I also hope it's her, but it's not her. Alice, Tan Ziyuan patted Chen Mou's shoulder. Don't be sad, son, love is like this. I heard that she was born in the Zhu family. That's a big family. We are not suitable. It's also your father and I who are incompetent. Chen Jianai was also silent. How powerful the Zhu family is, hidden in the fog, it's hard to say. But when he and his friends chatted and boasted, he talked about it a little, just guessing that the Zhu family could sweep the entire Yonghui city by sending a few people at random. It's not this reason. Chen Mou was speechless, and he didn't intend to explain more. The reasons were very complicated. When it comes to things involving God, Chen Mou doesn't intend to say more to anyone. As for not being suitable, it's not a problem. Let's not talk about Chen Mou's talent and future achievements. Even now, he can talk to several saints, such as Zhou Hefting and Lin Tanghuang. I don't know how Teacher Zheng is recovering now. Has he broken through to the saint? In addition, after giving away the eternal life secret, the military advisor had to accept his favor. After revealing the relationship behind it, who in the Zhu family dared to say anything? Unfortunately, Ziyuk would not give these people face. Chapter 299, Continuous Scientific Research Improvements. Chen Mou stayed at home for a few days, met with relatives and friends, and then returned to the research base with Xiaobei. At the base, Chen Mou continued to research and improve the materials of the mecha. Half a year later, Chen Mou finally obtained materials that were satisfactory enough. The cost was also suppressed. Although it was still expensive, it was finally acceptable. In the past, the cost of this material was about 10 times the price of gold. The price of 1 ton of gold is about 270 million. 10 times is 2.7 billion. The Haiyan mecha has not been built yet, but according to estimates, the mass must be more than 10 tons. 10 tons of materials, 2.7 billion per ton, so the mecha materials alone will cost tens of billions of budget. If it is said that tens of billions are used to build a Haiyan mecha, the country can still accept it, but a mecha is not just about materials. In addition, there are various energy engines, energy systems, circuits, space components, etc. The energy used by the Haiyan mecha, antimatter, is even more expensive. Adding all these things together, the cost of the Haiyan mecha has far exceeded 100 billion. The country cannot afford this price. After all, they are not planning to build just one mecha, but many mechas. Chen Mou, Wen Yuding and others have been researching for a long time and making continuous improvements. Finally, the cost has been reduced to the same level as the price of gold. With only a few billion yuan, all the materials needed for a mecha can be obtained. Everyone in the research base is amazed at the value. In the 6 months since graduation, Chen Mou's cultivation has not fallen behind, and he has successfully broken through to the middle stage of the law scholar. My cultivation is getting slower and slower. Chen Mou frowned, not very satisfied with his speed. He broke through to the beginning stage of the law scholar at the end of the 3rd semester of his junior year, and now a year and a half has passed. If others knew that he broke through to a realm in a year and a half, they would definitely be envious, but Chen Mou still thought it was too slow. So, wouldn't it take me another 2.5 years to break through to the high stage of the law scholar? How long will it take to break through to the sage? I'm worried. I'll just grind slowly. Chen Mou scratched his head. Huoqi country still has no sage under the age of 50, so I can't be too much, right? But the goddess of order had cultivated to the level of domain lord at the age of 20. Why is it so difficult for me to become a saint? I have to think of a way to cheat. Chen Mou broke through in the sky and slipped back to the research base to continue his research. Now, Chen Mou has joined the research group of space technology. Space is generally controlled by domain lords and above, and even saints only know a little bit. If antimatter is used, a huge amount of energy will burst out instantly, thereby affecting a small range of space and achieving the effect of space strike. This plan is feasible to a certain extent. I'm good at this. Chen Mou was full of confidence when he joined the project team. No one knows space better than me. It took half a year for Chen Mou to modify a space array. It didn't take long to make a space array, and Chen Mou had many templates in his memory. But it was a bit troublesome to adapt it to the mecha. Moreover, Chen Mou's realm was low, and he was restricted. He needed to simplify the space array as much as possible. It was too complicated. Not to mention Chen Mou now, even if the three emperors came together, it would be difficult to complete. The project team invited the Hall of Fame members including Xinghu President Zhe Hefen, Mingdao University President Wei Chun, Yanshan University President, and Bixun University President to work together to engrave the magic array on the mecha. These old presidents are all at the high level of saints, stronger than ordinary saints, and even touch the realm of domain masters. At this time, the mecha was not developed yet, only a rough framework was available, and it was still a prototype. A small amount of antimatter was added to try it out, and the effect was barely acceptable. The antimatter was provided by Qi Jianming's research team. Qi Jianming was the teacher who gave Chen Mou the first lesson at the beginning of the freshman year. Inspired by Chen Mou's ideas, Qi Jianming invited several like-minded old professors to join in the development of antimatter. In fact, antimatter could be prepared thousands of years ago, but the cost was too expensive to be used on a large scale. Who can afford to burn billions and hundreds of billions at once? Now, after years of technological improvements, the cost has dropped significantly. However, it is still expensive. The project that Qi Jianming is carrying out is to improve the development process and reduce the price to a level that a country can accept. Qi Jianming succeeded. After several years of research, he finally reduced the price of antimatter significantly. Chen Mou also went to the laboratory and visited Qi Jianming's scientific research results. It feels like it can be improved. Why don't we make some more changes? Chen Mou suggested. What? It can be improved? Qi Jianming asked excitedly. This level of improvement is the limit of Qi Jianming's cognition. Now that he heard that it can be improved, how can he not be shocked and excited? Zhe Hefen was also on the side and couldn't help saying, if it can be improved again, not only the Haiyan mecha, but also many cutting-edge strategic weapons in the country can be greatly improved. In fact, all kinds of weapons in the interstellar space have added a small amount of antimatter, and are used in conjunction with various mixed energy sources such as nuclear energy. Antimatter is usually used sparingly and are not be wasted. This situation is like a high-end computer with strong performance, but it uses a low-quality power supply. The power is limited, and the performance cannot run. If the energy problem is solved and the firepower is fully opened, it will definitely be enough for Qingyang domain to drink a pot. In fact, Qi Jianming's improvement has raised the country's overall military strength to a higher level. However, Qi Jianming has just succeeded, and antimatter has not yet been mass-produced, so this improvement has not been reflected for the time being. Research and improvement are at the laboratory stage. If you want to mass-produce, you have to build a production line. And it can't be built only here in Huoqi country. That's not enough. You can also build some on the many planets ruled by Huoqi country. It's only a matter of time from laboratory to mass production. The improvement of Huoqi country's military strength is unstoppable. After Qi Jianming's improvement, antimatter preparation has become much cheaper than before, but it can still be called expensive. Chen Mou proposed to improve it again at this moment, which is great. So the laboratory started again, and Chen Mou cooperated with Qi Jianming's team to start research work. It has to be said that Qi Jianming's team did a very solid job and overcame many practical difficulties. This saved Chen Mou a lot of things. Chen Mou does have a theory, but the theory must also be matched with reality, not transformed out of thin air. Just like if you go back to ancient times, Without scientific research support, no matter how much computer technology and nanotechnology you know, what can you do with a hammer? Based on Qi Jianming's research, Chen Mou spent another half a year leading several people to make new breakthroughs. The preparations were almost done, and next, it was time to assemble and debug the Haiyan mecha as a whole. Chapter 300, Heading to Liu Ein Star. All researchers, experts and professors participated in the final assembly and debugging of the Haiyan mecha. A series of works such as debugging, fixing bugs, changing lines, optimizing energy burst paths, and adapting compatibility took the project team another half a year. Finally, a Haiyan mecha was manufactured. It was transported to a large wasteland for the final test. With one blow, everything inside was destroyed. Destroy withering and rotting. The terrifying power is even greater than that of a nuclear bomb. In terms of pure power, it is stronger than a saint, but the saint wins in flexibility. In general, it is feasible to use the Haiyan mecha to compete with a saint. Next, it is mass production. Even if Chen Mou lowered the cost in various ways, the cost of a mecha is still close to more than 70 billion. This is only the cost of the body, without taking into account antimatter. Antimatter, after the joint improvement of Chen Mou and Qi Jianming's team, is still a bottomless pit. If it really burns, no amount of money will be enough. In addition, the mecha needs to be inspected and maintained every once in a while, which is another expense, and it is not small. If calculated in this way, the final cost of a mecha is still more than 100 billion. Lin Tanghuang, Zhe Wei Chun and other Hall of Fame masters came in person, copied all the information, and personally sent it to the location of the three emperors to discuss the mecha production plan. It can be expected that not only Zijixing will provide money, but other planets ruled by Huaki country will also have to arrange corresponding resource support. After all the work was completed, the scientific research team was disbanded. Subsequently, professors who participated in the work, such as Qiao Zhangping, Wen Yudang, Qi Jianming, and company managers such as Zhang Yuan, were awarded the Special Contribution Award to thank them for everything they did. Du Yongxiu and several other students who helped, as well as the personnel sent by the research base to assist, were awarded the Second-Class Contribution Award. Chen Mou was awarded the highest contribution award, surpassing everyone else. In this regard, others had no objection. Chen Mou participated in multiple projects in succession and made outstanding contributions in each project. It can be said that his contribution was more and greater than theirs. Chen Mou took Xiaobei home and rested well at home for 2 days. Chen Mou's original plan was to go to the Starry Sky battlefield after graduation to gain some experience. Unexpectedly, the plan could not keep up with the changes. He stayed in the research base for 2 years and was unable to leave. However, this is all meaningful. Even if Chen Mou goes to the battlefield, with his current cultivation, he can only kill a few lost scholars, which will not have a big impact on the overall situation. But the development of the Haiyan mecha and the improvement of the antimatter preparation process will shock even the saints of Qingyang domain. This matter is still confidential, and Huaqigo will give Qingyang domain a surprise later. Students who have just graduated from Xinghua Academy usually enter the battlefield through the relationship of the school. Chen Mou did not do this, but directly contacted the Lin family and asked the Lin family to make some arrangements. After all, Chen Mou has not been on the battlefield, but has been working for the project, and this project is designated by the military advisor. The Lin family is responsible for it, and all parties assist. So the Lin family should obviously take responsibility at this time. The Lin family directly sent a warship to pick up Chen Mou. Mr. Mou, I was entrusted by Lin Xing to arrange your trip. You can just call me Uncle Fu. An old man with gray hair and a slightly plump figure said with a smile. Chen Mou felt strange when he heard this. With his family conditions, being called Mr. Mou seemed to be something he had never experienced before. Mr. Mou, Uncle Fu, why do they sound like the relationship between a family master and a butler? Hello, Uncle Fu. Chen Mou replied. He could tell at a glance that this Uncle Fu was at the high level of a law scholar, which was extraordinary. This level was comparable to that of Lin's current patriarch, Lin Huafin. Mr. Mou, please board the warship. Uncle Fu made a gesture of invitation. Chen Mou thanked him, boarded, and said as he walked, "You don't have to call me Mr. Mou, just call me Chen Mou. Mr. Mou sounds weird. I'm not a young master." Uncle Fu laughed. "You are the boyfriend of the eldest lady, so it's only right for me to call you Mr. Mou." Chen Mou coughed, with a little embarrassment on his face. Did Uncle Fu know about his relationship with Lin Sichen? But it's not surprising. The Lin family is not stupid. Many things can't be hidden from their eyes. What's more, the kiss between Chen Mou and Lin Sichen that day was witnessed by many people. The Lin family didn't seem to react to the relationship between him and Lin Sichen. They didn't support or oppose it. But Uncle Fu suddenly mentioned it. Is he testing my attitude? Chen Mou was too lazy to think about it. He didn't want to beat around the bush, so he just didn't say anything. Chen Mou didn't care what the Lin family thought. He only cared about what Lin Sichen thought. Uncle Fu was still smiling and calm, but he gradually made a judgment in his heart. Chen Mou seemed to be a little indifferent to the Lin family and didn't care about their opinions. If other people behaved like this, Uncle Fu might think that he didn't see his temptation, or was arrogant. But Chen Mou behaved like this, Uncle Fu felt a little unfathomable. According to Lin Sheng, Chen Mou has a big secret hidden in him. What is it? Lin Sheng didn't reveal too much to Uncle Fu. Obviously, Uncle Fu is not qualified to know. Uncle Fu did not forget his work. He started the warship, broke through the air, and soon passed through the atmosphere. Accelerating, 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 the warship began to advance towards the speed of light, but not too close, otherwise the mass would begin to expand significantly. Is this warship equipped with a space jump system? Chen Mou asked curiously. Yes, Uncle Fu explained, this warship is quite advanced, but each jump consumes a huge amount of energy. In order to save a little, we still use the direct flight method when there is no emergency. Mr. Mou, if you need it, I can start the jump system now. No need. Chen Mou waved his hand. He was not in a hurry to arrive. It was great to see how beautiful the scenery was on the way, although the space outside the warship was pitch black and there was nothing to see. Well, let's fly there. It will take about an hour to arrive. Uncle Fu said. Chen Mou's goal for this trip was Haiyan Star, which was the planet he chose. As planets in the same suspended galaxy, the distance between Haiyan Star and Ziji Star was not too far. Compared to the distances that are often measured in light years, this 1-hour journey is relatively short. Ziji Star is the birthplace and foundation of mankind in the suspended galaxy. There are many countries on Ziji Star, and these countries, after entering the space age, have each stepped out and controlled many planets. Haiyan Star is part of the power map of Huaki country. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.